Alrighty, Bowhunters, welcome back. Sitting here online, I've got Mr. Benny Fensom and Jack Spinks on. Thanks for joining me tonight, boys.
No worries.
Thanks for having us again. Well, there you go.
Jack, I want to start by, I guess, saying congrats and wetting the head for you. Hey, it's a new baby.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's
Yeah, the clan.
it's been good. Yeah, got the 2025 model the other day, so I think we're nearly 10 days out, so or 10 days in from having another daughter, so it's been awesome.
Thank you for making this happen.
Yeah, that's right. They're all asleep now, so had a big day with the kids and all sorts of stuff, so they're all knackered, which is good. Which freed me up this time of night.
Definitely, it's a nice way to have it. Although if you're wrecked as well, it doesn't make much sense for you, does it?
A few of these won't do it. That'll get me going.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't.
Actually,
You didn't tell me.
What did you say, Benny?
You didn't tell me this. You didn't tell me this was wetting the head on. What will be?
I wasn't sure if you would have seen many people between now and when it happened, so I was like, "Oh, may as well make it happen."
Yeah, it's pretty remote. You don't see too many people, so this is just as good.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, Benny was blown away by the fact he could see us on the screen.
Yeah.
I actually spent the whole day doing bloody sausages. I didn't think it was going to take that long. Had about 20 kilos to make up, and I got into about 9:30 and literally wrapped up at probably 4:30. Had to run to the shops and get our groceries done and stuff for the week. But yeah, I didn't think it was going to take me that bloody long, and I'm over it already. To be honest, it was a big ass day. I don't want to make sausages for another 12 months now.
How do you go down? Do you struggle doing that, or
nah? I'm definitely not as fast. But the problem is that because I've got a hand filler, like the sausage stuffer filler, but it's all done by hand. So the thickness has changed so much throughout the sausage. So you get to some parts where it's real tight, so you can't just like reef it and twist it real quick because you'll bust it out the side. Which is just a bit of fuckery, to be honest. So it was very frustrating. By the end of the day, I was like, stuff this.
Yeah. No, we've got I've got a sand stuffer like that, so I understand. You're paying for that, but we've also got one that we plug an air compressor into because we do heap around butchering at home. Like we do shitloads of snags anyway. Every now and again you have one too many beers and you end up blowing the sausages to pieces in the skins, and if you don't get an air bubble in or something, it just goes to shit real quick.
Yeah. Do you have a big old mixer or something as well then? We lost him.
Works really. Yeah.
You're right, mate. We lost you. You back?
Yeah.
Do you have a big old mixer?
I've got a mixer. We got just the funny enough, the best mixer that we've used forever. The old man went and bought a cheap cement mixer from Bunnings.
No way.
Yeah, he's seen someone do it on the butcher's page, and we just bought a brand new cement mixer, and you can tilt it and all sorts of shit. We just chucked all our meat in there, and we did 100 kilos of snags last time.
No way.
And we've got our next door neighbours want to do a full bullock just in the stag, so it was really good. It worked real well. Mixed everything up nicely. Then we got big mincer and all that sort of bullshit because we've always done it.
Yeah,
and makes life pretty easy. But tying them off seems to be the one thing most people struggle with. And you see people sitting there like twist them, like almost individually each time. And if you've got more than 20 kilos to do, you're better off just paying someone to do it, I reckon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how long does 100 kilos take you guys to get through?
We eat a lot. Split up between brothers and all that sort of stuff. And
oh no, I mean to make.
Like make them. You do it, half a day.
Okay.
By the time we normally start off like, breaking the beast down and that sort of stuff, and then at the end of the day, you got all your trim and leftover bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Then we finish off with snags and hang them that night. The next morning, package them. But I'm one of four boys, so when we were kids, we used to do two boards at a time, and sausages. We lived off sausages and steaks and that. So
Yeah.
I'm always making kilometers worth of the shit, Oh man, he's a fanatic with his snags. He puts fucking everything in there you can think of. Like he just experiments with the most random shit. He tried to make some salami the other day or last year to cure over time, and he filled it full of cheese. Cheese goes off. But he could be right. And the night we tried it, I nearly fucking spewed because it was just rotten cheese inside the salami stick. He feels if the intended ratio for a snag is like 50% ingredients, he'll put like 90% ingredients in it. He fills them with cheese. He puts so much cheese in the snags when you cook them, they just like,
ooze.
like just one big pimple. It just keeps oozing out cheese. And they're absolutely beautiful. They're not a very social sort of sausage. You can't really, sit around and talk to people because you can't stop burping them. He can't handle just plain snags. We've always done, all sorts of different ones like that. It's better than that shit you buy from Safeways because fuck knows what's in that. It's all just sawdust and dicks, I think.
Yeah, exactly. All the hooves.
Yeah.
I definitely, I mean, I'm trying to still find a good consistency, like in the sense of the end product and what you're putting out, because I really don't have a lot of mix-ins or anything that I put into it. And our girls are getting so fussy with what they eat at the moment. I'm like, oh, it's so frustrating to me. So I end up just making like literally the mix that I made was venison, beef, and salt, and that was it. And the girls loved it; they ate it, but it's dry as all buggery, and you can't really eat them tomorrow. I don't think. Like once they're cooked, they're good to go, but you can't eat it again tomorrow. Like it'll just be frozen rock hard.
Well, that's the best thing about snags, I suppose. Is there's not really a good snag or a bad snag. In comparison, you can just chuck sauce on them if you have to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gut feel, really, isn't it?
It is. It is definitely. Yeah. Hey, Benny, tell us about Q fever and lepto. What happened there? And tell us what it is. I'd never heard about it. Yeah. Bush chlamydia.
Well, probably not the first one is the wrong explanation for it, but don't get on Pop's homemade whiskey and get to the camper bear with 3 other blokes. You wake up 4 weeks later. And things you didn't have. Dropped the shit and then ended up contracting aspergillosis. And it was pretty nasty. At first I thought it was Q fever. And running high fevers and body aches and sweating like I've never sweated before. Like literally have to get changed 3 times a night. Yeah. Couldn't sleep on the bed because the bed was just saturated. Like, you'd be freezing cold and, just sweat and aches and fevers, and ended up in hospital for a week on antibiotics, and had a whole day in hospital where I run fevers over 39 degrees and for 13 hours. It was a horrible bloody day. They couldn't give me Panadol because it had attacked my liver. My liver function was completely out there at the point where they couldn't give me Panadol or anything to help with the fevers, to risk the liver shutting down. So that was, it was pretty full on for a few days. It took me a good month at least to sort of get back to myself.
We had a call kind of right when you'd found it, like what you were just down. You'd been in bed for a few days, and you hit me up, and I was like, it sounds like I've got no idea what it is, but I didn't even know what Q fever was. Like I'd never even heard of it before. I never even knew there was a thing that we had here. Like I knew of brucellosis was about the only thing that I thought that I'd heard of in the sense of something that could be problematic for us as hunters. And Q fever itself comes from the dust. Is that correct? The dust in the animals.
It's contracted from dust, blood, urine, like body fluid. Yeah, like I'm fairly certain. I was talking to James about it, and they actually did a podcast not that long ago on animal diseases, and it's a really good one, like contracted to humans.
Yeah.
All the different diseases they cover that acute fever all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I know that Q fever, I'm sure it starts blood body fluids. Leptos mainly can be patently and transmitted through blood, but mainly urine, which at first the doctor said that he was testing me for it and how it was transmitted. And sort of like, well, you know, not really sure that's possible. But then I'd killed sheep for fortnight prior, but I knew I hadn't broken the bladder or anything like that, and I was doing that. And then thinking about it, I was like, well, during the rut, you know, you come in contact with a fair few bucks that we put our hands on, and you know, I was looking like pits all over themselves, you know. So something as simple as grabbing the antlers, and you know, you tend to, if you get blood in your hands, you wash your hands, but it's something as simple as picking up the antlers and looking at them. You don't think about all pits that's probably on them, and yeah, you might go and have a swig out of your beer or have a bite of your sandwich or something, and something simple like that, you know, because you know, relatively you're pretty clean, you always wash your hands and doing stuff when you're in the bush, and you sort of, you know, get that stuff all over you. But yeah, just little simple things like that I didn't think about when picked it up there somewhere.
Pretty wild. Like what? It's been like a month, right? A month of pretty much being not bedridden, but just shit.
Yeah. No, for a solid 3 weeks, I was struggling to get out of bed, and like that was realistically struggling to get out of bed. Like just the joint aches and the fatigue was ridiculous. Like just on stand up, and as soon as I'd stand up, I'd just have to lay back down because I was just I was just flat. There was just nothing left in the batteries at all, and but definitely going to get I got down a month back, but come back as left out because I would have sworn blind at this Q fever just reading the
descriptions and stuff,
and anyway, then come back as left out, and the doctor said that he'd rather me have that because of Q fever, it comes back or can come back or it stays in your body for the rest of your life, basically, and can affect you. Can have sort of some serious side effects that can swell valves in your heart and stuff like that, and cause heart issues and all the rest of your apparently. So
almost comes like an autoimmune.
Yeah, I'm not, like I said, some information I'm saying probably not 100% on it, right, but it's in the ballpark of what goes on, and it, definitely recommend going and getting the Q fever shot.
I just didn't even know it was a thing. Like, is it something you heard of lots prior, like for either you guys being in the farm industry? Is it stuff that they'd kind of talked about being on cattle or sheep or anything?
Q fever, like I've known about Q fever my whole life, never really looked into it, but just knew butchery and being around sheep and cattle, and I don't know, it just gets thrown around in conversation as you growing up. I suppose you hear of an old family that had Q fever or something probably the first time I heard of it, and then you ask questions of how did you get that or where's it come from, and so I sort of was always aware of that, but you think, for the amount of I do, even at work, like we don't have sheep anymore, and not that I've got any few own sheep, but you think 20 sheep and I kill one every 6 months, like God, what's the chances of contracting it, but I didn't know about leptospirosis at all. I had no idea about it. And it was a big learning curve. Because it can be fatal. So,
definitely
take a little bit from it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Had you ever heard of it, Jack?
Yeah, we've same deal, like growing up on the farm, all that stuff, tuberculosis, brucellosis, all that sort of stuff was just, it is what it is. It's just shit. You just, it gets around and then goes and comes back, etc. My sister-in-law, she actually picked up, she had Q fevers from, they took home a baby kangaroo, like a joey. So she ended up with it as well. And it was like, she said it sucked. It was real bad. But it must be the same. I didn't know exactly how you contracted it. But kangaroos, anyone that shot kangaroos and that sort of stuff, now, they have always seem to have that real fine dust, on their coat and that sort of stuff. And obviously that's how she contracted through that. But I've been lucky. I've never, not that I know I've ever had it. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you got to roll with the punches, live on a farm and all that sort of stuff. Like you're exposed to all that sort of shit. But you know, the old boys back in the day, you asked them, they probably just drank themselves silly that night, got over the next morning, went back to work. Yeah, like that's just they took it with a grain of salt.
I can assure you that doesn't work.
Plenty of drinks were had in camp and nothing, no success.
And it pops whiskey to kill it, and
Nothing
to kill it.
That's wild. Yeah, I'd also be intrigued to know if the shot actually. I don't know if it would completely stop you from getting it. You wouldn't be like, I don't know if it would stop contraction or if it would just lessen the effects as well, right?
Yeah, that's a question not for me. I have no idea, to be honest, but
Dr.
all I know is it helps, and yeah, like it helps not having a serious or helps not get raw, like yeah, I'd take COVID or influenza A, or you give me anything, give me all at once, and I'd take that over having let go again. So
yeah.
If Q fevers, if it's anything the same, I'm 100%. I'm actually booked in on the tank with June to go out of the doctor, get it sorted out, so get me shot. So
yeah, wow. Jack, do you know if your sister-in-law ever had like after effects years later or anything like that?
Not can't say 100%, but it was always, yeah, no, she was told that this is reoccurring. It will come back. They reckon it comes back at the same time every year.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life. So, but I think touchwood, she's been not too bad with it. I definitely haven't heard any cases where she's struggled with it again. But again, you know, wouldn't know, I suppose. Like sometimes it could be next time it comes back, it could be just less effective. You know, you just don't know how it affects you each time. You know, you sort of get, I'm sure you would get some form of natural immunity to it, you know, after a couple of times. But yeah, as far as I know, I think you're not too bad with it anymore.
Yeah, I wonder if it acts more like an autoimmune disease where it essentially attacks the body from the internals instead. And that's the aftermath. It's like an EBV or something like that, Epstein-Barr virus or something.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just one of those things. I think, like, you know, you can catch it, you can get it if it's from airborne dust or off animals. You know, there's no reason dogs can't get it. You know, if you got
yeah, exactly.
We've got like my daughter, she's had a handful of rabbits.
Yeah,
you know, and yeah, we don't have any rabbits left on the farm at the moment. Don't know why, and the rabbits are picking up mixer, you know, and they mix they come up with mosquitoes and flies and all that other bullshit. But you know, there's no rabbits for miles. So Mother Nature's a bitch sometimes. Like she can, you know, you can spread these diseases that easily through animal to animal. And you'll always hear the cases about diseases get off wild pigs, and you know, shit will come over the news, or you know, the local area will say, right, if you catch it pigs or whatever, just be careful because this disease is out. But at the end of the day, like, what do you do? Like you said, you try and hide from it. You can never go outside.
No, exactly. Yeah, no point. May as well enjoy it. Have 3 weeks off. Yeah, exactly. He needed it, really.
Well, something crazy with on that topic of disease spreading. So I had I don't know whether I should say this on the podcast, right? But anyway, I had I think it was like Public Health, New South Wales, or like whoever they are, rang me on Thursday, and they're like, "Oh, just touch me base." They've been trying to ring me for a couple of weeks. I kept missing their call, and anyway, she rang me and finally got on to me and said, "Oh, you know, just checking. We know you had that dog, blah blah blah, and good frightened to your mate, because my mate actually contracted it as well, the same trip. So, they're like, I spoke with your mate and I get over it, but we had to talk with you just because your results were a little bit different." You know, I was like, yeah, right. What do you mean? So I hadn't been told anything by the doctor or anything. And they said, you actually contracted 2 strains of lepto. And I was like, right, is this a problem? And they said, well, not for you because, you know, you're over it, like you feel 1A. I said, yeah, but I said, no, but the issue is one of the strains that you contracted is not meant to be in Australia. And I was like, pardon? And anyway, she said, she said, yeah, so, and I was like, this is something I should be concerned about. And she said, well, no, when, you've gotten over it, like you're healthy and it didn't kill you. So she said it's more important for us to, find out like that to do they asked me to go do more bloods in Friday afternoon. And, they're testing it to confirm, but they seem to think that it was pretty prominent in my bloods, because sometimes apparently bloods can have a crossover and give false readings, but they seem to think it was a pretty strong sort of telltale type thing. And I said, yeah, like, she said, oh, have you been to Bali, or overseas or whatever? And I was like, no, I haven't been out of Australia. She's like, oh, I'm not even just like, a long weekend at Bali or anything. Something you might have forgot about. And I'm like, I don't even have a passport. I've never been out of Australia. She's like, oh, really?
Massage parlor.
Yeah. So, apparently, at this stage, I contracted Australian electro. There's not even meant to be on Australian shores. So.
That's crazy. That's far-fetched.
So I'll find out, obviously, I'll have more on that in about 2 weeks when we've months from back.
Although the amount of people that we ship in and out of Bali, I'm not surprised if that's where they say it's coming from. It's probably done pretty easily, really, with the amount of people that go to Bali.
I know whether she was asking. I don't know whether she was asking me Bali just because, like, I don't know, my age, and maybe she figured, might have just gone to Bali for a long.
She heard you talking. She's like, oh yeah, doing bogan, going straight to Bali.
So anyway, no Bali and no Master of Followers. A deer in the woods.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, it's crazy. I didn't even know that Mixo came from flies and mosquitoes. I thought that was an introduced disease to try to get rid of the rabbits originally.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the mozzies and that, they pass it on.
Yeah, okay. Internet. He looks Italian.
You just hang on.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
The internet's not being our friend tonight.
No, it's Jack's house.
It's the hard part about. I mean, it's unfortunate, really. Actually, I heard this the other day that Australia has worse internet than Kenya does.
That wouldn't surprise me.
No, our internet's so bad. It's so horrible. The fact that you can't even just have a call like this and it not drop out 1,000 times.
Oh, well, we're in a black spot here with service. Like, we don't get phone service here on the farm, so we're all just run off Wi-Fi. Like, we're using Starlink at the moment as well, but it's not exceptional. It's certainly much better. This time of night, usually it starts to play up a little bit. I don't know why. But yeah, like I was up in North Territory at the back of bloody Arnold, middle of fucking nowhere. And I had full phone service and full bloody internet, everything working perfectly fine in the middle of nowhere where no one needs it. Yeah. And down here, like, I'm only 5 hours from Melbourne. I can't walk 80 meters past the house here because if I want to make a phone call or, receive a text message or something. So yeah, it's fucking ridiculous.
That is. That's bloody crazy. Yeah. You boys, I mean, just to remind people, I guess, you boys both are stickbow hunters and have been trad hunting for a long time, really. Like, neither of you guys even own wheels anymore at all, I don't think. And I think just hats goes off to you guys because I just went out for a hunt. It was my first longbow hunt where I spent the whole weekend just hunting with the longbow. But at the same time, I think it made me a way better hunter just in that one weekend of realizing how much extra time you've got, how much you can slow down, just different ways of looking at the approach, because you're like, well, 15 meters is not good enough anymore. Like, I need to get 10 or under. So what approach am I going to take and how am I going to do it differently? And I think it's just, I don't know. It changes the whole perspective again for you. And I think it's almost like that whole concept of, for a rifle hunter, that our hunt begins where theirs finishes. I think we can almost say the same thing for trad bow hunting and the wheels. It's like the trad bow, their hunt starts where ours finishes with the wheels. Not always the case, but that's definitely the way that felt for me on the weekend when I was out and about trying to make shit happen. But yeah, you guys had a bloody ripper of a rut this year, I believe. You got to hang out for a few days on the block, and you invited Randy in because you felt sorry for him, obviously, because he doesn't shoot a trad bow. But
we needed groceries. That's the only reason.
But then we were talking the other day, Benny, and I was blown away by how many deer you guys actually took away this rut.
Yeah. It I mean, someone frowned upon me, I reckon, but I mean, when they finally give these orders and says no deers to walk, and that's what it is. Like, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deer there, and at the end of the day, really, when you think about it, a couple of blokes with stick bows wouldn't matter. Even on our very best day, and I believe the 4 days we had in the book, we had probably 4 of the best days any blokes with stick and strings could have.
Yeah.
And I think confirmed kills was 18 deer and 22 in total. Yeah, like I said, that seems like a lot, but and in the scheme of things, my roost shooter mate went in there the night after we left, and it was shot 49 and 52 or something, just down in that very same little block.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, for about 4 hours. So the deer that we took out of there in 4 days is nothing, and he's continued to shoot a full load of deer there, every 3 nights in the week.
Yeah, that's wild.
So,
absolutely wild.
Yeah, so sometimes you're just gonna, with the farmer on, try and help out and get a few numbers. So it was, we had an absolute ball doing it. Like,
I can imagine.
We had a ball.
Yeah. Do you guys reckon that the deer populations where you guys hunt in particular, like they've boomed compared to what there have been previous years for you?
I think the deer numbers are better this year and seem better this year just because we sort of had it the right time, sort of from, now to say Christmas. It was dry before then, but they were still feeding the hill.
Mm-hmm.
But ever since sort of late November, December through January, February, like all that nice green bit of pick that was right up in all the hills where the deer didn't have to come out of to have a feed, whatever. And, that was all gone, so they were starting to feed back out, in the areas where they've been seeing it, like, where I'm at, I believe. And, and I know, I think the deer numbers have always been there over the last 4 years, but just a matter of the feed. Like, we've had a 4-month sensational years down here where it's rained and it's been totally surrounded the feed, so the deer are right up, way out in boondocks where they don't get seen,
Yeah. Would you agree with that sentiment, Jack?
There's no deer down here. There is deer down here, but whether we like it or not, there's a lot of places deer started that are like in a drought. And, it's been patchy all over the countryside. Some places is green as shit, other places is dry. You've only got to be sort of down here seeing how much hay's been, coated from up north. Like, at the moment, my brother, he's a stock agent, and he said they're now carting hay out of Catherine, down to the likes of Bendigo, Horsham, so the deer, everyone knows how a drought will affect deer numbers. That mixed aerial culling and that sort of stuff. Certainly down, I suppose, this part of the country is pretty horrendous the last couple of years, I reckon, from where I was hunting. But yeah, then it was nice of them to allow me to bring groceries up for a hunt, and it was just to be back up in an area where not as affected like sort of down here. With drought, that sort of stuff was fucking awesome to be able to just get back into the swing of things. Like, I hadn't hunted fallow for about 5-6 years because I've been hunting reds mostly, but it was bloody good. It was good to bloody hear them croaking again and that, and see the numbers. I can definitely see how the numbers can and get reduced in certain years due to different climate changes and roof shooters and prices and all that sort of shit. But
Mhm.
I think, every year is not going to be the same as the last. You'd be silly to think so. And fuck, like animals are animals. I've always said that to people that we don't fully understand them, It usually gets to about, the second week of April, everyone's like, has the rut come and gone? Have we missed it? Has it started yet? Like, I have to fucking do the same thing every year,
Yeah.
There's things that happen in Mother Nature that we don't know about, that animals would. And, it is what it is, like you're trying to track down and kill an animal with a bow, unless you're lucky enough to have a place where there's a lot of them, like it's never going to be an easy feat. I think a lot of people get caught up in that. They, chase success more than, the hunt. But yeah, that's my take on it. I'm just, I don't have too many deer down here, unfortunately, so I would take the chances when I can get them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I think it's I mean, it's very insightful, and it's back to like I've only been doing it for 6 years, but yeah, every year's been very different. Like some of them have like every other year has been more likely versus every year. There's definitely a big difference. I almost feel like you could go, 2 or 3 years ago, actually, this was a lot more like what it was happening right now versus year to year. It's so fucking different. And then chuck a drought in the mix, like you're saying, or extreme rains in the mix where they don't have to come down. Like, yeah, same thing for me on the red block last year. They didn't move. They didn't have to because they had so much water and feed. There was like, what was the point? They had their girls where they needed them, and that was it. They didn't have to go out and about. They didn't even have to fight. They didn't have to do anything. So they just stayed where they were and barely roared because they had the girls around them. So it was like, okay.
And that comes down to, like not your case, I'm saying, but like down to education. Like some people think, well, there's no deer in that area because they're not raw. Well, it's not always the case. I hunted, reds locally around here, and that's for about 10 years. Consistently, never heard one raw. But I knew they were there because the farmers would see them, farmers would shoot them. So yes, that is the hard thing. You can't guarantee it's going to be the same next year. Like you need to go and ask someone, like Toby Bynes or someone or Kev Shilk that, experts on those particular deer and have hunted the same blocks for 20 years or 30 years and say, what have you noticed in 30 years? And they might say there's fucking no consistencies, or every 5 years is the same as the last one. And it is very hard to pattern animals. For example, red deer, if you see the same stag or he sees you, 3 days in a row, he'll leave that area. He will just move.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily have to be you. That could be someone else's hunting block. That could be poachers. That could be the farmer's dog. And, wild dogs, God knows what, helicopters. And yeah, it's all just part of, it's just trying to gain as much information and as much knowledge about that area as you can, which isn't always easy. As you know, like if you only got 5 days of the year to go, hunt the rut, well, you just sort of taking a punt at it, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like I know on my red blocks and that now, like I've been lucky enough to hunt, red's pretty solid for the last 5 or 6 years. And I've learned fucking shitload doing it. But I, for example, I hunted this one stag for 2 weeks straight, and he'd only poke his head every now and again for this tree line, and he was a big stag. And he was pretty tough. Randy actually gave him a touch up the year before, and he just went underground, like he was just fucking, like he was like a SWAT stag. Anyway, I hunted him, so he popped up about just on first light every day, and I couldn't get to him. Then he went quiet for about a week. Then I found him on the last day, and he jumped the string on me, and I knew from that moment then that I was going home. Like the rut's over for me because he's the only stag I wanted to shoot.
Yeah.
And I tried patting him for 2 weeks, and I knew the second that he knew something was up, he went underground.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even any point thinking around because I knew that he would just go and tuck himself up in that thick stuff. And unfortunately, that's just bowhunting for me, mate. But
yeah.
Is what it is. Like, as stickbow shooters too, like, yeah, we hunt close, and I think that's where bow hunting's sort of getting away from that. Bow hunting's meant to be a game of how close, not how far. And if you like Ben's been shooting stickbow for years now, but if you gave him the exact same opportunities he's had in Stickbow in the last 5 years, say, with his old compound, you know, he'd have to build another fucking house to put all his heads in, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just how it goes. So depending on how or why you want to hunt, yeah, get a bit off topic there, but yeah, it is definitely I think, yeah, education is probably the biggest thing about what you're hunting, how you want to hunt. If you want to stick bow, well, you lose some hair. That's about it.
Yeah, get a few grays in the making. No, I think that sentiment as well. Like I went and I just wanted to prove that I could shoot something. And once I shot something, then it became about, okay, well, what is a good trophy I can try get in regards to, I was out hunting goats. So it was goats or fallow if I could get close enough to one. And I actually did. I shot over the back of a fallow, hit my limb on the wall of the hill. So I was sitting down and it walked straight into me, shot straight. Like I'm like, yes, this guy's dead. And just hit the limb on the damn wall of the mountain and just shot straight over his back. I was like, oh well, that was a good learning lesson.
Well, that's the thing too. Like using a stick bow or compound, it doesn't matter until the shot. Like it's no different until the shot. The stalk's the same. Everything in consideration is the same. It's just if you're proficient with a compound at 15 meters and you're proficient with a stick bow at 15 meters, there's no difference. Like you obviously know you get, you're gonna be a bit slower than a compound. There's not much in it. You know, I believe there's, during the rut this year, the deer we shot, there was probably a good handful of times where a stick bow was 10 times more useful than a compound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had the first buck I shot, I saw him at, 10 meters, and I had a second to draw back and shoot him.
Yeah.
Not hoping to hell with compound, And there's obviously there's times when there's one sitting down at 45 where, with a stick bow, unless you're ash, it's fucking, it's not on. Whereas compounds just, pick him off like that. But yeah, I think it's the stick bows get a bad rap thinking, a bit unethical. Yeah, it's a bit hard to do, but I think in the right hands, they're probably just as good, if not better, than compounds in a lot of situations.
I think there's a lot more dedication that has to come into it, and that's where the ethics come into play, right? Because if you're not doing the hours, you're not going out and shooting your bow, you're not getting used to your shot process, you're not laying down the foundations that will make you a better shooter, then yes, there's going to be an ethical issue. But you could say the same thing for any sort of bow then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the one thing that we don't have in Australia, which is we don't have it in summers of traditional bows. Okay. Everyone thinks using a stick bow is, you pick one up, you pull back, and arrow comes in. That's essentially what it is. But unless you sort of have a rough idea on how to tune them, or set them up properly, you're going to be so far out. It's going to make it so much harder on yourself. And that's what a lot of people dishearten. Yet, I've had multiple blokes that I've gone hunt with, and I said, well, this is what's wrong with this and this and this, and they're like, oh fuck, I didn't even know that. I didn't think it was so technical. It doesn't have to be, but the more technical you can be with them, the more consistent your shots are, and the more confident you're going to be in the field.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. But everyone's sort of, the stick bows become, the last 10 years become pretty popular in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's slowly getting to that point where, there's a bit more of that educational stuff popping up here and there. But getting set up with something decent to start with, then pretty much having it set up to start with, then going from there, that's usually the best way to start, I reckon. Because
definitely
anyone can shoot a stick bow, I reckon. Doesn't matter who you are, within an hour, you can have someone shoot, groups at 15, 20 meters, no problem. Not a problem. It's just maintaining that and the disciplines of that throughout the coming months, which is the hardest part.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, whenever I've introduced someone to the bow, like in particular family and stuff, I'll take my recurve or my girl's bows instead, because it's like, I know you'll be able to draw this back. Versus if I take my compound, like there's no way, no one's touching it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to pull it back in the first place. And then they'll probably smack it against their forearm, like everyone does with the compound the first time around, and then absolutely hate it. I'm like, I don't want that to be the experience for everyone.
No, that's right, dude. With you'll see at all these expos and parties and shit you go to, like the meet and greet. Everyone takes their compounds, and then everyone shoots. They shoot their their rounds and have 5 shots and put their bows a bit.
Mhm.
Then there's all the dickheads like me and Ben that run around with their recurve all day, shoot all sorts of weird shit, missing. And everyone just gravitates to the stick.
Of course. Yeah.
Because they're fun. Everyone loves shooting. All of a sudden, I think the first year we had to meet and greet. It was at the time, but we were having a shoot off at 10 o'clock at night with Luminox shooting over the top of camp. And there's about 80 people watching us have this shoot, and it was like Luminox bouncing everywhere, and like next day everyone come back and did the same thing, and it's definitely something that people get addicted to. But I think a lot of people get addicted to the quick success of it, but it's maintaining that success and that disciplines after the first sort of 6 weeks. Usually find people get real in the first 6 weeks, they become quite successful straight up. They'll shoot a handful of critters and like, fuck yeah, this is cool. Like, this is good. This is not as hard as I thought it was going to be. Then you'll see them taper off real quick. Then they taper off after 6 months. You'll see them go, I can't handle not having success anymore.
Yeah.
And they'll pick the compound back up. Then they'll start that process again. They'll build up their success rate. Then they'll go, I'm looking for another challenge. They go back to the stick bow and they'll just keep going up and down like that.
The ego stroke. Yeah.
Best way to do it is if you got a compound and a stick bow, just sell one. Sell the compound, stick the stick bow, and if that's all you got, you'll make it work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely there's nothing. I don't think you can beat a group of blokes in camp with stick bows because you can shoot them all night. You can around camp having a beer. You can shoot targets, shoot each other's bows. You're not worried about draw lengths and brace sights. Someone knocking sights or dry fire like. Fucking hell, if I had to die through time I draw fire to pay, like a stick, I'd be able to buy myself an Ola, Best part about them, they're just good fun. And I would have cut the compounds here that I use as paperweights that I had when I started. But yeah, I'll never, I don't think I'll ever own one unless Jabstick happens, unless I knock a finger off and need to or something.
Yeah, the old mouth tab has come out or something.
I got lucky twice last week. I thought I lost, thought I lost me 2 shooting fingers on a drop saw, and then 2 days ago I was splitting firewood and I got a high dolly splitter. It's not too fast, but it's fast enough. I was thinking of Benny's old man lose his finger and my grandfather lose 2 fingers. I thought, fuck, what would I do if I lost a finger? And as I was fucking around, not paying attention, the 3rd finger got caught under the axe in the bit of timber. And I thought, I better pay attention here because I can shoot left-handed, thankfully, but I'd have to find a left-handed bow if that happened.
Yeah, that'd be a nightmare. You boys have both hunted reds and fallows. Would you say that one is obviously they're different? They're different critters, but do you find that one is easier than the other?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad we have the same sentiment.
Well, I like shooting goats compared to shoot reds, I reckon. Ben and I have both been lucky enough to shoot some good stags, both in like fallow bucks and red stags. And I don't think you can underestimate a big old red stag, how fast those things can move, how clever they are. I've been lucky with a couple of nice fallow. I haven't shot a great deal of them, but compared to a red, a fallow's like a 16-year-old schoolboy, full of testosterone. Red's like a 34-year-old bloke that's had enough, like the reds are just clever. I've seen them turn inside out. I'm sure Ben's spot on lip is still recovering, but we've seen them turn themselves inside out under 10 yards. And like our bows are shooting 200 feet per second. And they're obviously, how big a red stag is. You wouldn't think, one turn out of the road in that time. But I'll probably eat your words one day when I won't be able to trying to have fallow. But red deer are just fucking phenomenal, I reckon.
I mean, I've even found it in regards to does versus the hinds. Like hinds just seem to be way more onto it. If they see any movement, they're fucking gone. They're like, no. It's not on, we're out of here. Whereas fallow are a bit more forgiving. Like they'll see you and they're like, I'm sus on that. I'm going to watch you for a long time. But if you stay still enough and you blend in enough, I'll go back to eating.
I was on this big stag well, Ben and I both hunted him. We called him Big Kev. We named him after Kev Schill. At the time, we were hassling Kev flat out with information, you know, asking advice. What do we do? And Kev was just lovely enough to just, boys, this is what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. Anyway, he's been my mentor, especially for Reds, forever, as long as I've been hunting Reds. Anyway, I hunted this stag 3-4 years in a row, and he was just one step ahead. I had him. I was, after I shot my big red, my missus come over and we were hunting 2 days later, and we actually found Big Kev in his bedding area, and he was walking away from us roaring, and I got him behind him with my missus, and I'd seen him sort of go to this rise, and I was like, fuck, he's like big stag. If I end up shooting 2 big stags this year, I'll never hunt Reds again in my life. Anyway, we're finally getting up behind him, and you know how fast they can move when they're walking. It's like us, you know, jogging. Anyway, my partner, she fell over a stick, and it went crack, and I'm turning around, looked at her, and she's like freaking out, like, sorry, but I'm like, it's okay. Like, made sure she was okay. I shot it, you know, stag 2 days ago. I'm not that worried. Like, it's just nice to be out in the bush.
It's not the real story.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I go to the greasies. No, yeah, I picked her up, and when I picked her up, made sure she was alright and that sort of stuff. Like, I turned around and all I could see these antlers coming towards me, and this thing was just pushing trees out. Like, he was just monster. He got to about 12 yards. I was at full draw, and he couldn't have done any better. He came in behind the tree and just poked his head out and had his complete vitals covered. I was at full draw in it, like 12 yards. I knew he had to turn and go back the way he did. As he spun, I gave him a bit of lead and I shot. And just as the arrow went to hit him, it hit a stick and deflected over his back. Anyway, for the next few years, I chased him. And one year particularly, he had a distinct roar. It was real foggy, like thick as fuck fog. And he was out in this semi-open bit. And I got within, I thought 50, 60 yards of him while he was roaring in the pitch black, which had the fog as well. And he stopped roaring, and I was quiet. I had any sticks, made any noise, and I had this eerie feeling that he was watching me. And I remember distinctly as the sun came up and the fog started to lift, his silhouette just slowly, and he was like 50 meters just staring straight at me. Like, there's not any way in hell he knew I was there, but he just had this sixth sense that I was there somewhere. And, you know, after 3 days of hunting, he'd go underground, you know. And yeah, we called him up to 4 Benny one day, you know, which is, and it breaks both our hearts. But, I knew he bedded in this one area, and we called it Big Kev's, bed. And funny story, Big Kev Schill gave Benny a real nice roaring horn. And worst thing we ever did, because the drive over the hump, like Ben was in the passenger seat, just roaring this horn just to try and work it out and use it properly for a good 4.5 hours. I couldn't throw anything out the window. Anyway, we got up on this hill and we called. I don't know, it felt like an hour just fucking around, making all sorts of different calls. And next minute I just see these antlers coming, and he's about 80 yards away. And I remember grabbing Ben by the collar and throwing him into the dirt. I said, "Get your bow and point at that." He said, he's coming. Ben never saw it. He never knew what was coming, how far away it was. And I ducked down the hill, 25 meters and kept calling, just to try and move things about. And it was only, I reckon, 4 or 5 seconds from when I first seen him, when he was there. And Ben was at full draw, and big fella stepped out at, I think about, I'd say easily under 10, can't remember how close. It's probably like 6, 7 meters, 9 meters on that. Asked Ben, he said it was 50. It was, and Ben shot.
And now we're on the podcast.
Ben shot exactly where he needed, and that the red stag, which I'm not too sure, many people realize, but they don't drop and roll, they push it up here. And Ben shot him through the neck. because the stag just planted his front legs and pushed himself back, rolled out. And, yeah, never heard him. I saw him later that rut. Yeah, he was probably a 360 kilo animal, you know, on the horse. And at, you know, 9 meters or whatever it was, he turned himself inside out like a chittle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm fascinated by reds. They're just something special, I think. And that's probably why you don't see many people shoot them.
Definitely.
Or shoot barrels anyway.
Yeah, especially the big old boys. Like that one you shot off of the paddock, Benny, that was a bloody ripper as well. I mean, you boys both took good reds last year. Was it last year? Year before?
3 years ago now, I think.
Yeah, wow.
2 years before that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think mine's good.
That's right. I talked to you just after you just lost one, I think, Jack. Or was that Big Kev? Was that story?
That's every year losing one. Yeah, no, I lost a good stag last year. But yeah, you don't seem to lose as many as you kill because, you know, your opportunities aren't really, you don't get that many opportunities on big stags. Like it's just not something that happens. Either the opportunities are normally either they're really, really, really good or they're just not there at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I had one really good opportunity on Frank the Tank and a satellite bust me. Like I drew back on him. I'm about to shoot and the satellite poof, took off down the hill and took everything with them.
Yeah.
And ever since, he's always hung out in the back of this bowl where you just can't get to him. He sits in the thickest of stuff, and I haven't ever seen him come down from there yet in the last 3 years. And someone, the guy who hunted the block this year sent me a message like, yeah, I saw him, but he was in that same location where you always talk about, like right at the very back. He came down into the flats for all of half a morning or whatever, and then he was out of there as soon as the sun was up. I'm like, fire out. Yeah.
Yeah. And they know, like, I reckon, you know, they know every year, they know when the rut's there, obviously, and they know that they're going to have pressure from hunters.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it is very, very disheartening. Like Ben and I, we hunted 9 days straight. We had 14 days to hunt, but we hunted 9 days. And we'd have days where it was ridiculously great. Then we'd have the next 2 days in a row where 5 minutes from after first light, they shut up. Wow. And where we were hunting, you can't hunt them in the middle of the day. And, you know, it was funny because we'd hunted for 9 days and Ben go up on the 9th morning after we had a shit hunt. He's like, Jack, we need to get the fuck out of here. We need to just sit out of the bush today. And we've been hunting for half an hour in the morning, then spending all day back at camp, you know, having a beer, sleeping, waiting until we get that last hour of light. Hunt that, then we'd repeat. And by the end of the 9 days, he's like, we got to get out of this bush. We're going mad. Anyway, we ended up going to the pub that night. It got mad. And we ended up getting out of the pub. We ended up at my brother's house, which went well, but it took us about 5 k's to get home. He only lives 100 metres from the pub. And it was the best thing. So we just got out of the bush for the night. And then we went back and I think we had another day or two, not too sure. But yeah, as smart as us humans are, I think reds are smarter. Their area, you know, where they live, it's like you. If you're driving down the road and you hear someone drive past a flat tire, like you pick that up instantly. And they're like that. They know every square inch of their place. They know every noise, every sound, every worrying point, everything. And one leaf out of place, they know. They get your own fellow deer too, like they do as well. I don't think as to the extent red deer do.
Yeah, I think it's just the nature of the animal to an extent as well. Like obviously with the boys, with the fallow, with them wanting to be around each other the whole time and holding their ground, but also wanting to check all the different scrapes and stuff. It's just like the nature of what they do is probably a little bit easier to be able to hunt. And then also the aggressiveness of them. Fucking hell, we'll get there. Like just the fact that they will come into you when you're tempting them to a lot more than what it seems like the reds is like. It's temperamental. Like if you don't give them the right call at the right time, they're out of there. Like, yeah, no, that seems sus. I'm out of there. Versus the boys, for the fallow, it's like try a rattle. If it doesn't work, maybe do some croaks. If it doesn't work, give them a few hind calls. And obviously it's going to be season dependent and time of the rut as well. But it seems like one of them usually works for the fallow compared to what you have to be patient with it. I'm not saying it's going to work every single time, but it just seems in luck of the draw, it seems like it works a bit better or a bit more frequently than what it does for the reds.
Yeah, well, see, on my block where I hunt reds, they don't respond to roars. Whereas,
I'd say mine's pretty similar, to be honest. They'll call back to you, but they won't come near you.
Yeah, well, these, like, you can't even fire them up. It goes against everything that everyone says about, hunting reds, and I've tried every different way with every different caller, and I just don't do it now because I can't, because I don't like letting animals know that I'm there. If a stag's roaring, I won't roar it, or I'll hind call if I get close. But yeah, they do not. So I won't say they do not. Once I had a mate there, he had a 4-inch bit of vacuum cleaner hose he cut off his mum's vacuum, and he had one stag respond to that, and that's the only response I've ever heard in that block. But he lives 20 k's away, and on his block where he hunt reds, they respond all day till midday. But I think that's just over the years, that's hunting pressure, and they know that. It's like if an Asian fella, someone that lives in Asia comes over here and tries to speak, Aussie accent, you pick up on it straight away. That's not right. That's the same with reds. They know that you don't sound quite right. As Shilky said, it's all about timing. You can sound shit out, but it's just got to be done at the right time. And so me personally, I just gave up on raw and reds.
It was actually after I talked to you, and you gave me the hot tip on the fawn calling instead. That's been the most success I've ever had with the reds in general, is doing the fawn calls more often, and that tends to get the boys coming in.
Well, yeah, like it's all time, place, mannerism of the animal. Like I'm a firm believer that every animal in the world could be called in. Because every animal in the world has to talk to one another somehow.
Yeah.
They've got a mate, they've got to do that sort of stuff. But yeah, I've always tried to get eyes on the animal first. Line call on reds in the country we hunt. One is very difficult. 2, there is quite a shit going through the scrub when they want to be. And 3, if you fuck it up, you're just educating. Then the following year, as educated again, they'll hear that same roar. For example, we had a stag that had a real high pitched vocal cord. It's like he got smacked in the throat, and he'd have like an squeal at the end of his roar, and we picked him up every year. But like to us straight away, you go, right, that's all, mate. And so what I'd definitely try and get eyes on the animal, see what they've got. If he's got a heap of horns, you're up shit creek really, unless you can try and entice a horn over, whatever the situation needs. But yeah, they're definitely the bigger old boys, like any satellite spike, satellite stag, spike, second, third year head, something like that. You can call them in with a hind call pretty easy. Whereas, those big old boys, it's
like they just hit a level of maturity and then they're just like, no more.
Yeah, it's just like they just see straight through you. They just go, yep, it's you dickhead again. You were here the year before and you tried the same shit, but it didn't work. But, unfortunately, Big Dev, he got shot off the road by a poacher with a thermal in about bloody early stages of velvet, which was shit.
That's horrible.
I found his, I didn't find it, mate, I was hunting, he found his casties, and they'd dropped them side by side. And I was talking to Ben one day, I said, guess what I found? I sent him a photo, and before he even said it, he's like, fuck off, they're Big Kev's at casties. I said, yep. Anyway, at the meet and greet, I took him up, Ben, you have a look at it. He was holding, he's like, this should have had a head on it when I shot at it. Well, these should be mine, but anyway. But yeah, that's my take on reds, I reckon. Yeah, if I had to hunt reds or fella for the rest of my life, it'd be reds.
It's that iconic moment you were talking about before, where he's out in the open and just had the sixth sense of you. When when there's the fog about and you can just see the silhouette. Like I've seen that multiple times, and it's very iconic of a red, I think. And it's almost like that's the most majestic of them that you'll see when they're sitting there just staring at you. They got the big old antlers hanging out, and you can barely kind of see them, but you can make them out enough. I think that's just, it's so cool.
Yeah, it was like a movie. Like he just materialized out of the fog, and he was staring straight at me, perfectly symmetrical. And he had the head on him like a Brahmin bull, like had the curl, but like for example, like one thing that really gets me, that took me a bit to learn, that red deer, like when they're roaring, for example, they can hear just as good as if they weren't roaring. So a lot of people hear a red stag roar and they're like, yeah, he's roaring. You know, I'll make some noise while he's making, like while he's roaring. I'll make some ground up. But he's listening just as hard, if not harder, when he's roaring.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, like if I'm talking to you and I'm like banging that beer can at the same time, you know, like you can still notice the beer can. No matter how loud I talk, you'll always hear it. So, and especially when they're roaring, because they roar for a reason. And they're trying to get a response, or they're trying to, get someone to talk back to me, be it a $400 stag or fawn, they're listening out to those things. So yeah, I was talking to one bloke, and I won't mention his name, but he said, really? I said, yeah, mate. He said, fuck me. I've been hunting these things for 30 years, and I've done the same thing for 30 years, and I still haven't shot one. I said, well, mate, hopefully you bloody don't do the same thing.
Can't imagine why it hasn't worked so far.
Yeah, they're incredible animals. I got a heap of respect for them.
It's also funny that you kept doing the exact same thing, right?
Yeah.
You're like, come on, 30 years, it's not worked.
Oh, people just don't know, like you wouldn't expect the stag to be able to hear just as well when he's screaming, Like, you scream at your kid running away from you, and you can still hear a dog bark behind it. And plus, red stags got ears, 10 times the size of ours.
Yeah, exactly. Big old things hanging off the side. Benny, how close were you this year when you shot some deer?
Shit. Closest was about 8 meters, 7 meters.
Yep.
And my furthest shot was 28 meters.
And did you just have them coming into calls or rattles or a mixture?
Big bucket.
We've been going to do that and I thought you were napping out for, no, I'm sorry. So my first one this year, and my goal was to get on boys a deer prior to me shooting one. So that box was ticked. And anyway, next morning I was just going to set Jack up again to get her. Fuck that. Give me that morning. All for it. Bloody, you said you can shoot one. Anyway, old mate came into a straight, probably 30 meters in front of us, and he wasn't actually going to come to us. He just heard the calls and come down and check his straight, and then he went and walked off. Anyway, as he was sort of walked around the tree, got a little bit closer to me, 28, I think we stepped out. And Jack just dove-hauled him, and he stopped, and I shot, and took the trick off his heart, and that was actually the first shot through a new bow, so I was stoked. It was a good way to open the account, and did that, and then Ash and I, a tricky fellow, the best man I've shot for this year, monster, but I was super proud of him, and we're actually hunting a deer that Ash and Randy had spent 2.5 days on, and just couldn't make it up, and then where we got right to where big fella was, he was up on his straight probe and carrying on, and he had about 80 or more girls with him that he was holding, and I said to Ash, we've got no play at him, you're not going to call him, not going to run, and the boys tried rapping at him, and he just gathered up his girls and pissed off, and the day prior, so we sort of had that up again, knowing that wasn't going to work, and then, the tricky fella that I shot, he was actually walking around about 40 meters below him, just as a satellite mark. And I said to Ash, because the plan was for Ash to shoot that big fella, because he'd been sort of, put my time in on him. And anyway, I said to Ash, I said, I'll just let out a crow. So, nothing to outrageous, I'll just let out a crow. see if I can draw that tricky fella over, because I knew the big fella was not going to respond just the way he was, ringing the roost where he was. He was not going to worry about one occurred, 150 metres away. And anyway, one croak and tricky fella put his head up, and he come in on the stream. That was awesome. He come in, and the wind was sort of pulling up the hill, so I wanted him to come right to me, but he ended up tearing, and just as he was running up, and he just gave me a perfect broad, I wanted. I'll explain this in a second. He was walking broadside, and I shot him he stepped out 22 metres and just took both his lungs, and he had no idea what hit him, and Astrid or Julian and Darren just punched right through him and out the other side, and he went up the hill, and he turned, and he started to walk down towards me. He was just starting to get his wobbly boot on. He actually seemed to stop in the video and look back at where the arrow hit him. He was like, oh, what was that? He had no idea. And then just started walking down towards me with a big wobbly end, he was just starting to lose his balance. Anyway, and I shot him again, and he seen me as I was trying to draw really slow, because he was just walking straight at me at about 10 or 12 metres, and anyway, he's fun, and I put one sort of in front of his hip up into his chin from there, and just as he spun, and it wasn't needed, but it was definitely what really says, that's good, that is better, and
Exactly.
he only went 15 metres up the hill, and then did his little ball over backwards, and that was that sealed. That's probably my most memorable one for the trip. But and then jumping on, we were up the hill. We called a fella in. That was kind of crazy, and we just got a message through sitting up top of the hill, and Jack's floppered past, and Jack and I sitting there. I said, "Do you want to wait?" He's like, "That, because we both knew if I hugged, he'd cry." I'd probably cry too, because the guy seemed to be doing, so we just sat there for a minute taking in the scenery, and I was like, "Oh, proper put one in front of us. Let's go and let's go and see what he does." And I walked over the next ridge. We had a bit of a wrangle, a bit of pride, and literally this deer comes hammering down the hill, runs past us, with no stopping, and I read from the dog call, trying to do everything can have it, and big hands, this thing is gone. And it was like, the hell was it going? Obviously out of straight up the hill. So me and Jack just having a bit of a laugh, and we were like, oh, that was close. And then, anyway, we were both standing there talking like idiots, and this deer just came walking back up the path, but he just walked right past to a scrape that was 120 metres in front of us, and then just started cleaning his scrape, because we just had a little shower. And so me and Jack both looked at each other, and this fucking deers walk back past us and not hurt us or things, thinking, how is this even possible, Obviously, pop blinkers on us out, and should have played up us. And anyway, we sat there for a minute and let out a couple of croaks and a couple of doe calls. Didn't worry about ratting, and just watching his behaviour, what he was doing on the straight. So at no point rattling, or just watching how he'd respond to a couple of doe calls. And then I just let out a couple of real deep, short, sharp croaks. And once he finished cleaning his scrape, he came motoring up the hill. Jack shot him at 15 metres. That was pretty sweet that night, because it wasn't half an hour after receiving the bad news for Jack, and we mocked around and wandering back down the hill. I'd been having this argument with Jack the whole trip, but he was telling me it tried to and she was effective. I'm like, mate, it works. We're having this argument between ourselves, and I'm like, mate, it works. Anyway, so I let Jack go. We walked down the hill, and I was like, you got to tell me, talk shit here to fuck you. Jack's for 10 minutes, and rattling away, nothing's coming in, and anyway, I was like, fuck it. So I pulled the bloody horn out of my pocket and let out a few croaks, and sure enough, old mate come down the hill beside me, and walked right in. Would have been Jack couldn't say more. Just on sort of a step up and out of arms. We put ourselves about 50 metres apart, and we had a basin on either side of us going down into V. And so basically, where we were pulling, we could have come from anywhere, and that sort of set the stage. So if they come from Jack's way, he had a coven, covering my way, I had a coven. And anyway, old mate came up, and he was walking up my side of that little ridge, if you know what I mean. And Jack and I could see each other, but he couldn't see this deer. And anyway, so really, like, he was coming, like, there was mad and needed because Jack couldn't see him. He kept doping because he seen me with the bone up sort of ready, and he was trying to just draw, from wherever he thought he was coming from. And anyway, it was really good to watch because, like, I'm guilty as hell for agri-calling, like, as I've learned, like I've learned this over the years, that calling too much, like you say, the bull stuff you guys just spoke about, like how they just get witty and
alert, yeah.
Quite right here. And if you're trying to talk deer and you're here and we'll guarantee you get the same target landing. And
all right,
it was so cool to actually watch him. My name's Jack. But yeah. So he's come up and just watching the way he's changed and everything. Like, and Jack was calling and Jack couldn't see him, and he's coming up, he's walking straight up towards me, and it actually worked well because the more Jack called, he was heading for Jack originally, and then he sort of just felt sense, so he was actually going to try and cut Jack's wing. But by doing so, he was heading straight to you. And anyway, by the time he got to probably 6 meters of me, he had no idea I was there whatsoever. He decided that Jack's call was like, no, something's not right here. And he actually turned beautifully broadside. He looked over his shoulder back at Jack and then just went to walk off. I was quite big. And I went about 8 meters and so that was pretty cool, but it was a really dividing us and then just watching just how, like, when you get caught up, you get caught up doing it instead of, like, you only need to do it just a couple of times and they hear it. If they're going to come to it, they're going to come to it. Like, it's what I watched and witnessed. And I mean, obviously different occasions, you have different outcomes, but it was bloody cool just to see his response and how he reacted to that circumstance.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was it's certainly a good experience just to watch and learn.
It is interesting, like how much they will call between themselves. Like you hear the does going or the doe and the fawn together. It's almost like if they're really mucking around, they'll talk heaps. I mean, like if the fawn's really mucking around is what I'm trying to say, that the mum will be like, come on, get your head in gear or whatever. But even then, like I don't know, maybe like what would you guys say is the most you've heard them call? Because I wouldn't say they've hunted fallow a heap, but I'd say probably like 10 to 15 calls in one is probably like the most I've ever heard them go, and that seems like it was overkill for them. Like me.
You find one that I've always found, like every morning, early morning, if you happen to be sitting off their feeding areas and that, when they're moving back up into the scrub with their yearlings and whatever, you'll just hear them like just going, like they're just constantly backwards forwards
chattering.
And you just go, oh, I'm like, you listen, you go, birds, and they're like, no, I'm like, because you can't see, like if you're moving through the scrub, trying to get in that feeding area, to get in position, and like how many times you just hear that and you already know they're all moved, like because they're just not because they're being scared off or anything.
No, you're trying to make your play. You're like, yes, this is going to work out so well. Then you hear, you're like, damn it.
You know that you haven't spooked them, but then you just know that they're walking, like they're heading for bed, and that's just how like I've been able to communicate so often. Where it's just oh shit, like. But as far as it was really awesome, the day I spent hunting his big fella, and earlier that morning, some croaks up in baits, and that I actually nicked a big fella, nasty, and anyway. That was sort of my target. Like I was like, mate, easy. I said to Ash, like we were working our way up to this other mate strike, and I said, mate, that's where that big fellow was last year. I thought it was where that big fellow was last year. I said, yeah, we'll go up around that ridge and we'll just have a look and see. And we got up there and it wasn't old mate that I was after. So I said to Ash, I said, oh, well, see if I can croak it in, and, you can shoot him. Majority was a nice head. Like, he was probably 5 or 6 year old, and like reasonably heavy. And like, he wasn't anything massive in palm, but he was nice and even. And yeah, he was a very respectable fellow. And anyway, it was really cool to watch him because he had his girls as we got to him. He'd been croaking like mad. And then obviously these girls, we were on the opposite rear and like on the opposite face. And we walked up this gully with all these girls. Like, they were on one side, we were on the other. And we worked out that, and they got there to him. Well, right as we got there, they got there, and our old mate was just like Jack running around when he goes into the strip club, he had his lip up through. Strapping his stuff with his chest out and kicking shit everywhere and throwing Reese across the room all over himself, And anyway, I tried croaking at him at this stage, and he looked up to me and then just went back to doing what he was doing. It was like, righto, no worries. And I was in a position where, like, we were in the shadows of this big tree, like, we're in a Wilson spot, probably about 150 to 180 meters away, but we had a perfect view of what was going on. And then a couple of croaks, and he looked over and wasn't interested, and tried that over the period of sort of half an hour, and that didn't work. It was like, no worries. We didn't rattle at all, because purely they were at a point where, like Ash with Randy had been hunting that area the last 2 days, and they said every deer like rattled that, just pissed off with their girls. So I was like, right, we're not going to rattle. And anyway, he had 2 trees actually rubbed together just from us. Like a big gust of wind come out, and these 2 trees rubbed together, and it sounded just like a big barker. And like, I looked down the hill thinking we're getting barked at, and it is this tree. And anyway, no sooner I lifted my head from looking down, looking for a deer, and then it went again, and I realised it was a tree. I looked up, and old mate was spotted around, like, all at, like, looking our direction. And I said to Ash, like, in the position we're in, I was able to move my hands and look through his finance and knew that he wasn't going to see me, doing what I was doing. And so I said to Ash, I'm just going to croak at him now, mate, get ready, because he's full of work. And I let out one loud croak. And before I even finished programming, he was on his way. Like, just the change in, like, all of a sudden, like, in a limit from worried about rooting to, like, oh, like, what is that? And then hearing the program, he was like, boom, on his way. Like, and I ended up shooting him at 12 meters. And that was super cool. And like, we had the plantations game, a good gun, but we're there a while. And like, just very interesting to see how you're going to sort of, sometimes you're going to play the long game and with them just to get the outcome you want. And then did the same thing for me after all that. Got him and Ash's big fella. And he's going to kill me talking about this. Pretty sure I could hear his lick hitting the ground as I say it in
the moment when I realised he was a real man. He was like, he actually, he's not Sentinel.
It was so freaking good. I'm so happy about it. He was fucking devastated. But anyway, Ash doesn't miss. Like, he just fucking hats up to him. He can shoot a stickbow, and it does wings. It was funny as shit because leading up to the wrap, like, we had that chat that everyone was in that was shooting stickbows. We're going to get around a bit of it, and we were practicing every day. And Ashford, smart enough, the years, put his deer target in front of his fishing boat at 53 yards. He ranged it through his rangefinder at 53 yards, and he puts 5 arrows in like a tennis ball in this deer with his boat and the fucking thing. And he goes in the chat, I just got to make it so you can't miss for me. And I'm like, fuck man, I'm going to put my target in front of your rainwater tape. I'll be out there with the patchy not blue. Fixing water tank. And anyway, cut me out in the main story of that time. It'll go on a while. But it managed to eventually get this deer to come into the Ashy line, 20 meters broadside, and Ash let it go straight over his back. And the first thing I said to him, "Get you glad you back one boy." He, I don't really carry the bottom lip of his backpack all the way back to here. Shit, it was funny. So he is huge, and yeah.
Remind me, because you actually went over it. You're like, what the fuck? Like you never miss. What happened? And he gave you a reason, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. So he like the deer was coming up this little ridge, the pile along was perfect. There was a pile longs about 15 meters, so he had to go pulling them. There's a big tree at the end of the pile longs. He had to go behind it, and then he was in a whole opening at 20 meters, like just as he came up around the tree, so he losed up a little bit of ground. And he came up, and as Ash said, he had his spot peaked, like he was just looking at where he wanted to hit him as he was coming out. And Ash has always said, did you pick your spot? Did you pick your spot when you fuck a shooter? And you'd be going, oh, fuck, I can't even remember where I was looking. And it's a really good example of you didn't pick your spot. You weren't looking at where you wanted to hit. And as soon as he disappeared behind that tree, I doe called because he was just on the straw. And I doe called in time that and then take him, he obviously going to stop instantly. He was going to come out and then go, oh, what? And anyway, just like clockwork, he come out, took 4 paces out of the open and stopped broadside. But I doe called just before he went behind that tree when Ash drew, and then I doe called just before his head come out from behind the tree again. And Ash said that he just, as soon as I doe called again, his mind went to my doe call, and then the deer stopped in front of him. And he just doesn't know where he was looking. He said, I couldn't tell you where I was looking on the shot. I was just saying the whole deer.
process.
That doesn't happen very often. Yeah, that doesn't happen very often. Very often with it. But ever feel to witness the whole situation, and like on stupidly enough, it spent 3 days for him until he was there, and I was fucking happy as Larry. Like, oh, you are here. I'm like, that's all right, mate. We all miss, like, I know this is, it's fucking, it's very not new to me. So anyway, that deer will actually still be there next year, and you'll get to redeem himself on him. No doubt.
Redemption, yeah.
Yeah, and he'll be sitting there freaking swearing, carrying on listening to this. But it was cool. Like just that whole pack is cool. Like we spent the whole day. Getting to him. I shot my deer on the way to and he played really tricky to get to. Like he was asleep in his bed when we got to him, but he put himself in a spot that he had about 60 meters of open ground between us and him in the sun. So there was no way closing that gap. And he was asleep, so he could arguments to say get behind him and just sneak in, then hopefully he doesn't lift his head. But he had 80-odd girls that were surrounding him on the hill face around him, and he was in this little tiny bowl, and like it was an impossible feat. Right, let's play the same game. Same again, it wasn't really to tell the story because it comes out. But he was asleep and we're in position, and I poked at him. And he lifted his head and looked at us. And then he just turned around and put his head back down, and that was it. And then all of a sudden, the wind went up the hill, and the girls and farmers flew out because they got their wind, and he stood up, and he thought that was it. He's going to fuck off. And luckily, the girls from Nowers just stood there looking too, and he's looking at them, and he's looking at the girls up the hill. And then just 10 minutes went by, and he settled back down, laid back down, and then went back to sleep. And I croaked at him again, just let out a croak, and he lifted his head, and then he wouldn't even look at us. He just lifted his head, and it was like he's just not interested at all. So I said to Ash, I said, just be patient. And I said, if I see him get uncomfortable, or after watching that bloke that Ash had shot earlier that day, and I always said, I'll wait and see if I see him get uncomfortable or croak at him. And anyway, no, it would have been 40 minutes or something later. We're still sitting there in where we were, and I've seen him sort of wiggle his shoulders like he was going to, reposition. And as soon as he done that, I croaked and he stood up and I let out another croak. As soon as he hit his feet, I croaked again and he turned around and then he just straight up to us. Just come. Like it took ages to convince him to get him to come, but he, once we played the game right and just waited for the right, right time and he's moved it for him to go, oh, fucking, I'm going to go sit this bloke out, he, it all worked.
Just proves the patience you need to have sometimes, right? Like it's more than what you probably think.
Yeah.
I feel like people would walk away from that.
Playing better than the other day, but yeah, well, you and I, that could be the right decision too. At the same time, we had nothing but time to kill, so we'd worked hard to get where we got, so we just sat there and he'll either get up and walk away and something happened, and like you said it yourself the other day when we were talking about, how when you're hunting with a compound, you get to that 20 meters, that magic 20, and it's like, right, I can shoot it, like, well, he's there broadside and he's feeding you, and no idea you're there at all.
The only opportunity I'm ever going to get. Yeah.
That's right. I'm going to shoot him right now. And the Stickbow, luckily enough, teaches you that you sit at 20, but you want to be at 10. And you're like, I could shoot you at 20, but, in my capabilities, I'm like, I could kill you or I could win, like, or if I get to 10, or 15, 15's number, I'm like being 15 under.
Yep.
15 under, I'm like, I'm confident as shit. And, that patience, it could take half an hour to get that extra 5 minutes. But you get to watch that half an hour, what happens. In the end, 90% of the time, they'll walk right up to you because they're just feeding or whatever, and they'll walk to within, if you get, either you stop them or you shoot them on the walk at 5 minutes, and you go, I would have never seen that happen.
No.
Like, I'm guilty of it. I hunted for years for the compound, and I had that exact mindset. Get to that distance, right, go shoot it, like, you're at full draw before you thought about what was going on,
Yeah. Also, just that extra time with them up close and personal like that, like the extra things that you get to take in, the extra parts you get to see, like it's that moment where, with the wheels, and I've definitely been guilty of it, is just getting there and shooting when you don't get to then enjoy the up close and personal interaction with the animal in the wild.
Yeah, that's right. And you get to experience some cool shit, and like go on enjoying stuff. Like this year, I reckon that was probably, we had four boys in camp with Stickbows, and then Randy, and anyway, but like the whole time we were there was no pressure from anyone.
No. Yeah.
There was no like, oh, but there was no set pressure, if that makes sense. Like, and that was super enjoyable. And it's not like as if it's pressure put on by, crowds, and people that follow you on social media, as dumb as that sounds, but that does get in people's heads, trying to have a success photo to have something to show for it. And, not having any of that pressure, like just wiping it out because, all of us had a big going on in our life, outside of the rut. And it was really good just to be in camp with 4 blokes with Stickbows and let's go see what we can make happen. And fuck, it was unreal, like just taking the pressure out, and the outcome didn't matter as long as you're just there having fun. And it was amazing what result that created,
Like, I think that's massive in bow hunting in general, right? Just taking that pressure off, and it's such a hard thing to do because so many people. Is it the Instagram thing? Is it the you want to get a meat like a freezer full? Is it whatever it is, whatever that pressure is that you're putting on yourself? If you can remove that, and I think that's a hard thing to do, but if you can do it, it makes it that much more enjoyable. Exactly like what you're saying.
Yeah, and when unfortunately, that's the way hunting's gone at the minute. So many people are worried about fucking how they look on social media, and you want upset if you want saying this, but at the end of the day, like, what are you out there for?
I can
like it's it's like if you let that pressure have,
Control.
Like when you get home, okay, fuck, you've got nothing to show for it. And, you're worried about not having something to go on social media or something. You're out there for the wrong reason.
Mm-hmm.
You certainly didn't start running as a kid to fucking put a photo on social media. Like you started running as a kid because it was fucking cool and it was exciting and, and if you can keep that when you're in the bush, that excitement and for them reasons, the warring started, all of a sudden, hunting becomes fucking exciting again and there's no pressure because you had no pressure on you as a kid. When you first picked up that first fucking slingshot or anything like that, you missed you going down the fucking
Another one.
ball bearing and fucking went again.
Yeah.
Me personally, that's the avenue I've tried to take in it. And
Definitely.
I've did certainly been, I'm guilty of it. Like I'm 100% guilty of everything we just spoke about. And I've been in stages of it. And I definitely found that was like, here we go. Yeah, this is not why I fucking go hunting, and it, and getting that whole pressure off myself completely and just remembering why I enjoy it and going on board. And it just was a game changer. Like, it was just like, holy fuck, and I think and a lot of people would take something for it, just stop and take a look, have a look at yourself and think, shit, I can just go and enjoy this no matter the outcome, it doesn't matter, and I know it worked wonders for me this year, like, just
Definitely.
purely having the time with the boys and with everything that was going on in my life, and, that was all that mattered. We just had fun, and it's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the times in camp like that as well, they are becoming a bit more few and far between in a sense. Like for me, this last year in particular, I've probably hunted less than I have in the 6 years in the lead up to it. Meaning, like I used to get out monthly, and then we had kids, and then it was like, okay, maybe every other month, every other 3 months or so. And I think over this last pretty much the last 10 months, 12 months, I think I've hunted maybe 4 times or something, which to me is like, oh God, like that seems crazy. But when you do have those experiences in camp, then I don't know, you just take them, you don't take them for granted. You really do appreciate it a lot more.
It should, no, it's, I don't know. It's, the more you can do it for the reasons you initially had started it for, the more you enjoy it, I think.
Man, I still get excited when I see a rabbit, let alone a freaking goat or a deer. I'm like, I'm still a child.
Mate, I took the kids out this afternoon and like to that same skinny took Lukey there the other Sunday, fox whistling, and and finally Mia can be fucking cold with it, she wanna come and she does whatever, and this afternoon she was super keen, so I was like, shit, and she's great on the video camera, so I was like, right, I'll get video, and me and Lukey will send ourselves up, and very first the pool fucking nearly the same spot. I set myself up in a slightly different spot to the first 2 foxes I called in with Lukey the other day, just because of how it happened. And like, right, we'll learn from that. We'll put ourselves here, and and anyway, we call, and within 30 seconds, hit my call lift. Freaking amazing big dog fox come through the grass, and straight away I knew he was going to come because he was stopped. He had the sun in his eyes, which straight away, generally, as you're up ahead, the best time in the afternoon, if you can have the right view, so you can have the sun at your back, you're in the shadows. So when they're looking at you, they're looking at the sun, they cannot see you. Normally, you just go in full straight out, like, because you just a little bit squeak and they come in. Whereas this one, as soon as he come over the line of the creek and got the sun in his eyes, he stopped. And he was there looking, like you could see him looking at me. Anyway, a couple more calls, and I ended up getting him to about 12 meters. And he was with the sun in his eyes, and he was looking in full stalk position, like he was there, like hunting us. And I got both the kids by my side, they're both, there's video and Lukey's there, buddy, all but ready to go full draw. But anyway, he took 2 more steps in his full little stalk mode, and his head coming to the shadows. and you just see his eyes like freaking, like, there's hunters, you know, like, where the way he went, but it was amazing how cunning he was, like, just being he's that old mature fox, you know,
Yeah.
like, even though he probably never heard the call, I don't think he was running the fence, and I called it. Well, I'm very confident he was doing shenanigans. I called up there a fortnight ago, and yeah, he just the way he played the game back to that, like he was just all over it, even though, you know. And then yeah, as soon as he come into them shadows, like it was just like, and the sun got out of his eye. It's like, there's two kids and a bloke, right? Yeah, like I'm out here. Me and managed to get a cooler video of it, and yeah, just that. So like it didn't matter at all when we got the props. We did, the kids, the smiles on their faces was just, priceless. And
Yeah.
the moments like that, you just go, well, that was a super cool experience. Like, the kids just got stalked by fox, and they're both there going, hopefully they're not forever, but yeah, it was pretty cool.
Just not around other adults. That's all. You can do it around home, just not at the other adults. No. Tell me. So 2 questions. What time of year were you guys hunting for your rut? Was it end of April? Oh, sorry, end of May. Oh my God, end of March or start of April?
End of March, 27th of March. We got in the camp, and we were there till, what was it, the 7th of April, I think.
Yeah. Okay. And then you tried something a little bit different this year, where you chucked your heads in the dam. How did they turn out in the end?
Yeah, and they're good. They're still there, Matty. As proud as that is.
Yeah, okay.
So the water is preserving them fucking good. And obviously, I don't really want to talk about what's been going on in that, but yeah, I've had a fair bit of personal shit going on, and haven't just had the chance to give them the time, and they certainly don't deserve that. I mean, there's definitely part of me that wants to give them the respect they deserve and to clean them out and get them on the wall, which is definitely where they're going to end up. But just with everything going on, I just simply haven't had time to do it. And believe it or not, the dam is preserving them beautifully in the water, and as long as they're staying under the water, so down, then they have them as the boys are trying them in there, because I wasn't here, and I remember the boys dropped him out, and I said, I just put him in the dam, and I'll sort them out when I get home. And anyway, as long as the antlers are under the water, like they're still holding their color, everything, and when they set, got wet, and then was out in the water, and I just noticed it starting to bleach just happened. So it's definitely, I mean, it's a last resort thing to obviously clean up your heads. I think, given my situation right now, choice. But
no, don't blame me.
High, but it's definitely working now. Because the skulls, you can see the skulls in the water, and they are beautiful white, like everything's falling out from, because two of them were starting out, and 2.5 only 2 of them were skin on, and the skin's off the ones, like there's nothing left on the ones that were skin. Now they're just white skulls in the water, so I'm gonna fish your yummies and that, I clean them out beautifully, and when I get a spare second, I'll pull them out, give them a gurney, and then we'll just leave them in the sun for a couple of days. Probably, I think after the antlers been in the water for a period of time, you probably have to wrap them up in foil or something while I have them in the sun.
Yeah.
Just so the antlers don't bleach too. And then pretty well they'll be ready to roll, I'd imagine. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reason why I asked was because I had done the cold method this year, and it was actually Jim McWilliam called up, and he said, mate, I do it with pigs all the time, the cold method, where what I'll do is just actually take the full skull, skin on, everything on, and chuck it in the water, and it just de-skins them real quickly, gets rid of the meat, all within about a week. He's like, they come up really primo, versus if he takes it in and puts it into the water with the skin off, so he hasn't fully like mauled it out and got all the flesh off and stuff, but just skin off. He's like, it just takes way longer to actually get off of the skull and to get rid of it essentially. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So hence why I wanted to know what the outcome was for your ones.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when you say cold boiling dough, and no doubt it works, but I think if you buck it up there, it's probably like a slow cook.
You're probably right. 70 degrees.
Yeah. Freaking, but no, it definitely works. If it's your last resort, you haven't a can to boil, or you haven't got a gas, and burner, or you can't need it for a bucket of water, definitely works. You got to keep changing the water every, couple of days, and ensure a really good result. And I mean, if it's a nice result thing, you can definitely do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I wondered if there was something with the bacteria in the pig skin or something as to why it helped to peel it faster, but I don't really know. He just chucks it in, not even a 44 gallon drum. It's actually like the bigger, like, how you get a water tank on the back of on the top of a pallet? He'll chuck inside of one of them. And he says, yeah, it just works a treat for it. Yeah. Anyway, tell us about this arrow company you guys started. What's the deal with it?
Well, we got sick of buying arrows.
Fair enough.
And we just thought to spend tens of thousands of dollars on buying arrows. Shit. I always had a dream of buying my own arrows from day dot. Just always wanted my own arrows, my own broadheads, my own camo. Just from when I started. And I had a heap of arrows coming into the likes of Benny and Ash and the boys that wanted a specific arrow, and I had good luck. How did we get our own, mate? And it didn't take us long to bloody, few phone calls, and we're like, oh, fuck, I lost again.
No, you're back on. Yeah.
Yeah, after a few phone calls back and forth, then we said, no, fuck it, let's do it, eh? Because, we at the time, we both got young families, and the price of arrows are getting up there. And when you go through, like, for example, like we went on one hunt trip, a few of us boys with Ben, we shot 80 pigs in, 3.5 days, and you don't normally get too many arrows back. And
no,
when you go on a hunt trip and you go, right, I got to pay, at $400 for, a couple of sets of arrows and broadheads, feathers and all that sort of stuff. It just gets out of hand. And when you start not getting many of them back, I don't know what hunt trip I went on to, but I actually had like bloody a bit of.
Lost him proper that time.
Within probably a month, we had some samples on their way. And yeah, once the first set of samples we got were exceptional, like exceptional, everything we wanted. We were warned by some other people that do own businesses, and they said the first samples will always be perfect.
Over the top. Yeah, they really make sure of it. Yeah.
But from then on, we just roll with punches, that sort of stuff. But essentially, all we wanted to do, we never started Jabsticks. Ben came up with the name Jabsticks, Jack and Ben.
I didn't realize that was what it came from. That's hilarious. I'm like, Jabstick makes sense. You look jabbing. Yeah.
And Ben's like, I got the best fucking name, Jabsticks, because you can jab a critter with them. And it's Jack and Ben. I was like, you don't miss much, do you? So we stuck it. And yeah, essentially the whole idea was for two mates to be able to go hunting with pretty much unlimited arrows. And if we're lucky, once or twice during the year, we can, the arrows can pay for some fuel, a box of beer, and, a couple of hunt trips.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it all sort of started to evolve from there. We just thought, well, why not? We're spending X amount of money on arrows per year. Why don't we look at doing it ourselves? Look at, the there's a handful of us blokes, I suppose there's probably about half a dozen of us that all sort of shoot the same sort of panning, same sort of bows, same sort of gear, and we wanted a specific item, a specific arrow shaft, I suppose, and we were able to get that made. And then, yeah, it just sort of carried on from there, and yeah, like it's been crazy, really. Like if we'd sat 12 months ago and said, listen, you know, we're going to be sitting down, you know, checking over 3 kilometers worth of arrow shafts, you know, over a weekend, you know, just to make sure we're right, send out people, we would have, you know, laughed at each other. But it's been a lot of hard work. It's been a lot of headaches. It's been very rewarding in many ways. I remember when we first sent the first lot out, you know, our mates were shooting critters left, right, and centre, and there's a huge sense of pride and sense of achievement that came with it. And Benny and I, one of the hunt trips we went on to, we got, because we're extremely careful businessmen, extremely. And we have secretaries and all sorts of shit. And you know, we're on our way to a hunt trip, and we got these shiny cards, these business cards, and we had no money in the account to start with because we had just put a big order in, and anyway, the cards hadn't been activated, whatever. Anyway, it just so happens to be that we got paid from some order or something, and we pulled up at a pub, and we checked, and our cards have automatically somehow activated at that moment. By the end of the trip, that card had no paint left on it, and we were just tapping it left, right, and centre. And Benny and I were like, well, put a lot of hard work into it. We might as well shout ourselves a box of beer, and wear some beer, you know, fuel, etc. Like we didn't really have to dip into our personal accounts for these hunting trips. Anyway, one of the hunting trips we went on, we thought we're going to get a box of beer. And shortly after, you see Ben coming out with a trolley, and there's about $600 worth of bloody rums and whiskeys and all that sort of stuff for a 3-day hunt. And we get to camp, we look at the receipt, and we're like, shit. And Ben's like, fuck it. Why not? You know? And it's just been good like that. Like, you know, a trip that would normally cost us, you know, $500 to $600 each, you know, fuel, you know, time away from equipment. Yeah, we can sort of go up to next to nothing, which it's not next to nothing. It's still...
No, it's your pocket, really, at the end of the day. Yeah.
But it's an easy way. We try to do like one big trip. You know, just as a reward, I suppose you'd say. Like, there's a lot of work goes on behind the scenes. You know, it's phenomenal. You know, we're always trying to improve the product, always chasing the next, the next best thing, trying to just make it better. But from day dot, we've never pushed our arrows as the best or, you know, the must-have. All we wanted at the end of the day was to make arrows ourselves and our mates, and be able to supply them to people at an affordable price that, you know, everyone like us could just go hunt without having to fork out money. Like,
yeah.
Just before we started, I looked at the average cost of arrows. I was like, fuck, like nearly need to go back to the old power flight days, or, you know, wooden arrows. Like, this is ridiculous. If you only shoot one dozen a year, you know, so be it. But the arrows like, I wanted to have the price, you know, as low as possible, because we both wanted to help out everyone. We didn't want anything to turn. We weren't fishing to anything. We just generally wanted to help people.
Yeah.
Wanted to help people like us and see people like us succeed in the field without having to spend shitload of money. And as you guys were saying before, like the way bow hunting's become, like I've probably been getting discouraged by bow hunting late, because I've noticed there's a trend at the moment where all the trophy photos that have been put on social media, like the hunter's in front of the animal. It's more about what shoes he's wearing, what colour he's got on, what bow he's shooting. The animal sort of get back seat with the picture, which, I don't believe is right. And it's just getting to the point where self-promotion is more important than the hunt. And so we took a step back, and with these arrows, like I call them just your blue collar arrow, every day your workman's arrow. It's like a pair of Blackstone boots. It's just, we wanted something that was reliable, that was affordable, did the job every time, and you weren't break to the bank. And so far they've, exceeded our expectations.
Definitely. Yeah. I remember when you guys very first, it was before it was really a concept. And Benny's like, man, I had $700 to $800 in my cart of arrows sitting there, and it was really for 3 dozen arrows. He's like, it seemed just absolutely woeful to me. He's like, how can I go and just justify this to my wife and kids? Essentially, like, oh, I'm just going to go out on this weekend hunt for a bit of fun with the boys, and it's also going to cost me close on $1,000 to be able to go do it. Like, what do you think, love? Like, it no wonder it came into the idea of like, okay, let's go and actually make something of it. And it's cool that you've been able to bring to market something that is actually affordable and is actually a really great product as well. Like, I've been shooting them since they came out. Since you guys, when did you actually bring them out? How long has that been?
Our 7th of September was the first
Shipment.
to go out.
Yeah.
It was first comes down was in 7th of September, I'm pretty sure. But I mean, at the same time, sorry, I just stepped out for 2 seconds there, but I think it's important to say too, like, Jack and I basically scraped every last cent we had together to start this. Like, Jack talking about the highs of, hunting trips, showers, whatever. But we scraped every cent we had together of our family savings each and put that into a joint account to try to put our balls to the wall and put in our first big order. Fuck it, we're all in. Now, if we're going to do something, we're going to do it right. And, we sort of buy that motto with anything we do. And from the get-go, like, it took, really well, which was awesome to see the sport through everyone, get behind us and whatever. And, it was up until, I know, when we went hunting, that was in February, I'm pretty sure, when Jack's talking about that particular trip, that we'd actually, we'd gone from ordering, $150 or whatever it was to, like, we'd ordered over 600 dozen by that point.
Yeah.
And every cent that we made, we just put into more orders. And that was actually the first trip we got to get together, and from when we started the business. So, that was definitely a little reward. But we still to this day, we don't take a paycheck out of this.
No, of course
out
not.
of this business. Like, it's purely, the money that comes in goes to buying and bettering the product that we are buying. Like, obviously, we are aware of, the slight faults that we have to come through the door, and we do our best to try and eliminate that. And, having that reward of, a couple of cartons of beer and a tank of fuel on that hunting trip, well, that was like a huge pat on the back.
100%.
Jack, like, we were, super proud of each other. Super proud of each other for doing, just taking the leap and doing something like that. And with, and trying to help people in this whole process. Jack said it, about being young families and, work with your ass off for a crash. And then when you go and have to try and justify it as a wife, especially late into the rut, that you want to spend the only $500 that's probably not even in the account for arrows. You know, you're spending your week's wage or 3/4 of it on paint and shit to then leave the wife and kids with strippings, Devon sandwiches or,
Devon.
for the two.
That's what I grew up
2
on,
weeks,
Devon sandwiches.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You know, the point is like we're completely aware of being in that situation or like leading into this rut. We did our the W mate,
Loved it.
which was purely just Jack and I talking again. It was like facts leading into the rat. We know there's blokes out there that are busting their arm, and that are, doesn't seem to matter how hard you work and you just can't get in front. You can't put that 50 bucks aside to buy a fucking, a dozen arrows when you, with a few weeks savings or pack of broadheads and, doing that was something, we were both really proud of doing this year too, because it was like we ended up giving away 10 dozen arrows to people. It was a complete honesty thing, it was, we didn't say you had to qualify and had to do this shit, had to do whatever. We just said, right, we're just in line and honest bloke to say, and the reason we did it, Dom and you mate, is because
no one's going to put up their hand and say
in that situation when we're struggling. And I'm not going to say to Jack, like, he'll go, mate, you're going to come hunt. And then the last thing I would say is, mate, I'm broke. Like, I can't, because I'll say yes because I'm too embarrassed to say that I can't, and it's only people like, obviously the whole podcast can know now, but, we've both been in that position, and it's only people like yourself or Jack that can say, someone really close to you, that they know your sort of situation you're in.
Yeah.
And that's why we said, we'll do it as an honesty thing. And that was awesome. We sent out 10 dozen arrows, played, jumped on board, and, no one's, we did reach out to anyone to sort of, jump on board with us because it was just something we wanted to do. But when, talking to Randy about what we're doing, is like, oh, mate, fucking let us know the addresses that, the people that you send them out to, and we'll send them out a dozen broadheads to go with the arrows. And, there was 10 people there this year that were in a top spot that received some arrows and some broadheads right before the round. Hopefully nothing different, and like at the end of the day, you don't expect feedback, you don't expect fucking, word. There's no expectation there. It was just simply trying to help fellas like Jack and myself in a tough time. And while ever this business is like we are doing this stuff, we're going to try and do our best to get a good product out there, but also try and do our part of the community and just help people where they need it, and that's important to voice that under the back of, and there is some perks and the bits we get to enjoy from it, but
why you get to do a business, no. But at the same time, I think that's why you guys also had support from word go, because you've always been honest and good people in the community. You've always shared your opinions. You've always helped others out to make sure that they're getting the best end of the bargain as well whilst they're out hunting. So then when you bring a product to market, it makes sense that you are wearing your heart on your sleeve when you put it out there, and it is going to be a good product because your names are behind it. So it makes us, to me, it made a lot of sense that people were like, oh, the boys behind it. Yes, I'll buy a Jabstick straight away. Like, I'll be on that for sure. So yeah, it kind of makes sense. And then and this is something I want to touch on, and I don't know how much you want to share about it, but behind the scenes of the actual upgrades to the arrows that you guys have done, what has been like the bits and pieces that you've had to essentially talk with the manufacturer, send back stuff, and the upgrades that you're making consistently? Like, what does that look like behind the scenes?
Whoa, where do you start?
Which one of us do you answer? Probably most got different answers. Both do different parts. And
tell us each part that you want to share, really.
Well, there's nothing to line. I mean, initially the tolerances we got given in Spawn were cats are -30, right? That was the tolerances they wanted to send us, which basically means that you could get a 300 spawn or a 350 spawn,
That's fucked.
You're like, fuck no, and the amount of back and forth you got to go through to get to, and this is Jap. I should really let Jap talk about this part, because Jap, he does do back and forward, and like we got that tolerance tightened plus or a -10 per ounce, which, may still seem like a lot, because if you get the higher end and the lower end side by side, that could be still 20 different in the sport. And hence the reason why we put every arrow over the arrow analyzer. And we have had the inconsistencies in our components as far as just being the junk and all expect what we want. And it's certainly we've had to replace arrows, we've had to replace components, because they get here, we've tested them, and it's like, that's fine. Like, we don't send them out the door. Same going, we've done it, we've made mistakes, like it's all a process that we're learning, and we're only going to get better at, it's, I'll let Jack, spin his sort of things, like what he has to go through to try and get the product where we want it.
It's a process. Probably on average, every order that comes in, there is always something wrong. Being mindful when you've got, thousands of individual pieces, as Ben says, we check every arrow, check every component to the best of our ability. If it doesn't meet our expectations, get it. But what a lot of people have to understand too is we're spending, tens of thousands of dollars on orders to come in, and then to have that sit on the shelf, knowing that there's a fraction of that order that isn't good enough. So that has to be put aside until we can get either a replacement or something else sorted. But then in the meantime, like, we've always been honest about our product, whether it be how we do things, why we do it, what we have, what it's made from. Other manufacturers of other arrow businesses and that, I don't believe go through or wouldn't go to the amount of effort we do to check over each piece. Understandably, once you get over, it's a 3 or 4 day weekend for Ben and I to, look over 300 dozen, let alone, 600 to 1,000. That's time that we don't take away. So, we have to meet up with about 6 hours difference. So, there's travel involved. Now, like in components, like, you've only got to be, 0.2 of a mil out in certain parts, and you go, well, that's not good enough, Mm-hmm. So then we have to relay that back to the manufacturers, get that all changed. Then on top of that, hardest part is you'll have people reaching out going, we think you should be doing this, or we think you should be doing that. Bits and pieces can be better here, bits and pieces that. And we've always said that we will take criticism, we will take advice on board, because we want to make the best product we can. But people have to understand that it all takes time and it all takes money. Just for us to change the tiniest piece could be, thousands of dollars and, 2 months wait time. There was a point where we found that the Cayuga broadheads weren't getting as much of a purchase on our outserts because we had a longer head. Now, we believe that the Cayuga and Jabstick's combo was, like, that's the combo to have. We believe, like, it's just a bomb-proof setup. So we went back and said, right, how can we attack this issue but maintain everything that we wanted in the thing? Anyway, it could take a month, 2 months, 3 months. Anyway, we got things changed around, our product come back, and we said, beautiful, we're happy with this now. And the reports came back from a lot of people that were already using that combo, so we're much happier now. We're like, well, that's good. We took advice on board, and there's only so much advice we take. Well, we can't change certain things, but we'll do what we can. And the time behind the business is probably tenfold of what people would see or think.
Of course, yeah.
Like every night, every day, every night, I'm either speaking to Ben or the supplier. Ben's down with postage side of things. it's a continuous flow. There's no weekends or anything like that. Like when we first started, we were just every day on the phone to one another for hours and hours trying to sort stuff out.
That's just it's been a good yarn.
Yeah. I could even memorize Ben's, on hold ringtones fucking 4 hours at a time. It's what we had to do, but yeah, like we're proud of what we put out. As I said, we don't believe it's the best, but we believe that we have a solid product that has worked extremely well in the last X amount of months, with very little no faults that we've had come back, no replacements or feedback. But it's also at the price point where, keep in mind, in the day, you're only spending at the lower end of the scale for a product that's probably at the higher end of the scale.
Yeah.
Plus, you're getting a free arrow with it. Like, Ben and I have this discussion all the time. Like, as long as he and I have arrows to go hunting, that was the main goal. If you come to us and you tell us that, you're not happy with this, you're not happy with this, Ben and I, we ring each other and go, in hindsight, we don't give a fuck. If you don't want to shoot our arrows, don't shoot it. If you want to shoot someone else's, shoot it. But be mindful our arrows, for the price point, for the product, they're pretty hard to beat. If we wanted to, and we easily can, we can go and develop an arrow that is faultless, but it's going to push the price of that into an unrealistic.
Right up. Yeah, exactly.
And that's not what we're about. We want to be able to have a product that goes, righto, you spend at the lower end, you get a free arrow in every pack. They're all checked. And as Ben was saying, which is how a lot of people probably don't understand how analyzer works, but we have a tolerance, an average tolerance for arrows is about 15 to 20 plus or minus. So that's meaning out of a 300 spine packet, you could get shafts at a 325
to
285, and for stick bows, that's a fair bit. Not a great deal. That's enough for you guys with your cable guns. I'm not too sure, and all that. But so we said, well, that's not good enough, and we pressed and pressed and pressed, and we got it down to, well, at the moment, ours are plus or minus 2.5. So we get a pack. Well, we get our 300 dozen come in, and we will batch all our arrows so they're within 2.5 plus or minus one another.
Yeah.
And how that works is pretty much if you get 300 is our ideal spot, 300 spawn, then you got 305 and 310, and you got 295 and 290. So if you get 12 arrows that read 290, they go together as a batch. So that pack there is pretty much identical to one another.
Yeah.
They might be exactly 300 spawn. They might be 290 spawn, but at least they're the same. Whereas instead of
290 and a 320, you're not going to have mass difference between your dozen.
And that's the one thing we had a great report from the start. Everyone's like, they all shoot the same. We don't have any flyers, right? And then shits and giggles. We put other brands over analyzers and that sort of stuff, and they're anywhere from like, just say like a 260 to a 380 in the same bundle.
It's absolutely wild.
But that's something not everyone has the avenue to check either. It's the same thing goes for checking your bow poundage of a stick bow. How many people do you know check the tiller of a stick bow? 99% of people don't, so they don't know how or why they should do it. So we try and cover every avenue we can. Even though we have a product that we're happy with, behind the scenes, we are still pushing to improve it, find out how to improve it. It's pretty evident sometimes where we have people that have supported us from day dot. Said some great things about arrows that then all of a sudden you see them shoot another brand. A lot of times it's because, they gave me a free set of arrows, or, they want me shooting arrows, or, they're a mate. And at the end of the day, we say, that's no problem. Like, we don't have any ties to anyone. We don't offer sponsorships or anything like that. But we've always said at the start, if another brand has a better arrow than us, better components, better product, it is what it is. Like, we're not sore losers about it. All that does is make us want to improve our product.
Definitely. And keep in the good price range to be able to do it as well.
That's right too. Like, if you come to me and said, right, you know, X amount, just, you know, Terra Firma has just brought out 4 or 5 new arrows, right? If you come to me and say, right, these arrows are better than yours because of this reason, I'd be like, well, use that. Good on you for telling it. Thanks for the honesty, because we run off honesty in that. You know, it's no lie that Terra Firma they're taken over at the moment. You know, their product looks incredible. I haven't heard a bad thing about them. People are stoked with them. We've had people that shoot out arrows that haven't gone there. We don't hold any grudges about it. You know, if it's a better product, you know, it is what it is. We're not sore losers. But all that does is, for Ben and I go, you know, what can we do better? You know, how can we push the limits and go, righto, we want to have a better product than the next person. And that's probably what they're doing as well as us, you know. There's nothing wrong with a bit of healthy competition. With all that, there are times where we've had, blokes let us down and, gives their word on certain things, and it has fallen through, which is sort of, you do see in this business, a lot of true colours do come out when stuff gets handed out.
Yeah.
And there's also, it is tricky. Like, you see people's true colours with things, but that's just, is what it is. Ben's probably, he's a little bit more cool-headed than I am. I'll stew on things a little bit. Ben sort of has to talk me down a few times to go, listen, mate. He's like, mate, just remember, if all goes to shit tomorrow, we've got enough hours for 12 years, which is, I need that every now and again. But, like we,
I mean, to back up exactly what you're saying, Jack, I know people that now shoot certain brands because they've been paid to go and do it. Not because they know it's a better, like they've even said to me, it's not better than what I used to use. I actually prefer this brand, but now I'm getting paid to go and shoot this brand, so I'm going to go and do it because it's better off for me in my pocket right now. I'm like, hey, each their own with that. But at the same time, like, it speaks in volumes for what you're saying, essentially.
Well, and that's right too. Like, everyone's in a different position. You can never judge a book by its cover, and you don't know what everyone's going through at the time. If you're legit, if someone says, if you're buying out arrows, then someone goes, right, I'll give you 3 hours to shoot arrows, and you're an apprentice, or you're struggling to make ends meet, or you just don't have that cash. But we're not going to hold that against you. Like, if you make, like, it makes sense if it suits your position. Go for it, and that's been something Ben and I have, through this whole thing is, as long as there's arrows going at people that are happy with them, as long as people are able to shoot arrows, as long as we have arrows, it's all good. We both have other things in our lives that we've got to focus on. I've got other businesses. He's full-time work with a young family. I've got a young family. Like, if we sit up all night stewing over things like that, it just puts us out of taste in our mouth. All we really want to do is we just want to keep pushing forward and bring out the best product we can. Like, what more can you do?
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day, and this is one of the favorite things I say, it's only bowhunting. It's not the end of the world. There's more important things in life than bowhunting.
Not many, but a few.
Like, we're proud.
27th of March, and then it's like,
that's right. Work doesn't exist. But, like, full transparency with everything we've done. We've been honest with everyone. We've had some absolute cracking sponsorship requests. That just, that I think 95% of those people, or 95% of anyone that's listening that is interested in looking for sponsorship with another brand other than us, because we don't offer sponsorships, is learn how to write, use grammar, and probably read your note to someone else before you send it, because some of them absolutely.
No. The key part, which this goes for this goes for the stand-up blokes, the Jack and I, and how many people, and this goes for any brand, reach out, ask for censorship because they want to promote your arrow, broadhead, whatever it is, and they've never used it. And Jack and I's response, and this has just been us, our response to people getting us out for censorship when they've never used our arrows is because they've wrote this big letter about how good our arrows are and how they want to promote them, and they'll do that. And first question is, have you ever used our arrows? And the answer is no. And the honest answer is that you cannot stand behind our brand name because you have never used them. So how can you promote something would be garbage? Like, it could be the best, it could be rubbish, Jack and I will not stand behind something until we have used it, see how it goes. And that's probably one of the key things, definitely not ask us for sponsorship if they ever use their arrows, because it's just it's the simple honest thing. Like, you have to, how can you stand behind something if you've never used it? You got no idea how it performs, how tough it is, like whether it's any good, whether it's shit. If you bought the arrows for 3-6 months, whatever, and showing that you're a believer in this brand, like you truly do think, fuck yeah, these are the guy, like all and do, whatever. That's a step in the right direction.
I mean, talking from
I don't want that to.
No, definitely. I was going to say, talking from my angle, in the sense of like, I've turned down brands to not work with them because I've never used their stuff before. Like, I've had people hit me up to be on the podcast, and I'm like, I've not used your stuff. I'm never probably going to use your stuff. Why would I just take the money to do that when all I have is my word? Like, all the products I advertise on the podcast is because it's stuff that I use. It's stuff that I've used for months before I've ever, even years before I even get that conversation happening. And it's because for me, that's all I have is my word for the listeners. And trust is hard to build, but easy to lose. And I don't want to lose it over one advertisement or something like that I do on the podcast that then sends everyone astray. Like, that's just bad on my behalf. And so it only is within my best interest, if I want to keep a good relationship with the listeners long term, to make sure that I'm only advertising products that I trust. Like that to me, and maybe it's because I'm in marketing, so I understand that a little bit more. Maybe, I don't know. But it's like, for me, that's all I have as a person who talks in a microphone. All I have is my word. So all I can give is my word. And
that's right. Look, as everyone knows, like, I straight up, we're honest about everything. And the biggest thing that I struggle with is when people, they do say, listen, we have the arrows for free. And we'll say, you've never used them, no. And our response is pretty much is, well, we'll put you in our shoes. If we gave you an arrow you've never used before and you promote the shit out of it, and you find out that, 6 weeks down the track, it's not right for you because you don't have the experience by using that product. Then you jump from us to someone else. Everyone that you promote that arrow to is going to go, well, why have you changed? Why'd you change? They mustn't be any good.
Yeah.
And that's a massive risk for us.
Definitely.
And we had a few blokes that we did say, this is our reason. And they said, fuck, that's a good answer. And me and Benny are just like, mate, if you can prove to us, right, buy our arrows, full price, as you should. And if you, amaze us, by what you've done, and we're getting sale after sale because of you, I said, yeah, we'll definitely revisit this conversation down the track. And 99% of those never purchase an arrow. And you'll see them on another brand, like within 2 weeks.
Yeah. I can empathize from that, in the sense of running a small business and people asking for handouts. Like every business that I've run has always been that. And what was crazy to me in particular was the amount of friends that hit us up just for freebies from word go. And I was like, what? Like, I would have thought you want to support your mate's brand, not go about trying to get all the freebies out of them. Anyway,
that's the best way to support your mates is to buy something, not ask for something free.
Exactly. And then the other part of it is like, okay, let's do a trade. And then when the trade doesn't come to fruition, you're like, that always sits in the back of my head. Like I've got a few names in the back of my head of people that I've known for a long time that never delivered on what they were meant to do. Yeah, no. They're not in the bow hunting world. It doesn't matter.
Look, we've got, so for example, Benny and I, we haven't known each other for a long time. We've both come from different, areas of the country. Both grew up with different people, different places, that sort of stuff. And when we first started, we had, for example, Ben's got 20 good mates on that side that he wants to help with arrows. I've got 20 good mates. This side I want to help arrows. And we talk about it and go, it's just not going to work. Like we can't help everyone.
Well, I mean, when you look at it at the end of the day, you've put thousands of dollars into this business and you've taken maybe 1,000 back out on that one weekend that you went and had together.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what are you then meant to take another couple thousand out to give out arrows? Like, it just doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, the way of business, and I think a lot of people who work for businesses in general, who have been business owners, but people who are workers, they don't see the numbers, they don't see the ins and outs, they don't see the profit and losses, and therefore they don't necessarily understand what actually goes into it and how much money. And like you said, you put your savings into this, you put both family savings into it, and you've taken 1,000 out. Like,
we're probably going to be behind for the next 20 years.
Oh yeah,
doing this, and that's just how it is. But this is something that we're passionate about. And when Ben and I, we ring each other up, we go, listen, fuck it. Do you want to go for a hunt on this date? Yep, no worries. We know no matter what. We're not dealing with, trying to buy arrows out of stock or pre-order, that sort of stuff. One thing that I open my mouth, which I normally do a bit too much, at the start, I said we'll always have stock, So coming into the rut, this year, like we started maintaining our stock levels and that, pushing hard back in November for the rut, because we know what it's like. We've both been in the same position where you're trying to get arrows to rut, out of stock. So things like that is, we worked ridiculously hard through Christmas, through New Year's, that sort of stuff, to make sure come February, when people want to start buying arrows to the rut, we had them available. And that's been, there will be a time where we'll have to eat hot words, because that's just how it works. We do everything in our power to make sure we do have stock. We do everything in our power to, if we get any bad feedback back, or, we have a faulty order, we will correct it as quick and as professionally as we can. We didn't do the old, we did a torture test, but didn't do, like, I don't know how many critters you like shot through a mist and hit a gas bottle on the other side of them, or carb on it, or a steel plate.
Shot a few rocks and that's about it.
We didn't do any of those, torture tests like that, because not many gas bottles walk around out here. But we did all our testing in house. In real life situations where we thought, well, you're going to be hitting stumps from a tree. You're going to be, as Randy says, when people complain about their broadhead chip when you hit a rock, he said, well, you're not meant to fucking shoot rocks to start with. They're not made to shoot rocks. And the same thing goes with our arrows. But at the end of the day, we take a step back, go, right, this is what it is. If we can correct something or help someone out with something, like we've even sent out knocks, just replace knocks, or like, a couple of inserts or something someone's lost or broken. No worries. We'll send them out, because, at the end of the day, it's, I don't know, we're probably too generous. If we're too generous, we'll probably, still be working in the same arrow business for the next 35, 40 years and still have the same amount of money. But yeah, it's definitely something that it is enjoyable and it is very rewarding. It does, the benefits outweigh all the negative side of things. And yeah, I don't know, like anyone that's wanting a good arrow comes in.
As a general guide, then, like in regards to selecting arrows, people who don't necessarily know what they should be going for. Like, what is kind of the common theme or concept that they can get in regards to, like, what's an easy way to remember what you should be shooting when it comes to arrows, or the easy way to kind of pick, okay, well, this is the spine I should be on.
Just ask.
Just ask,
Just
yeah.
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 Just ask. It's you got spine charts and all that sort of jam that you can follow on for your poundage, your draw length, broad weight, yeah. You can look at a spawn chart, simply ask, like, the amount of messages Jack and I received, through the Jabstick page, saying, I have this pound bow, I'm at this draw length, I want to shoot this broadhead, what should I shoot? And
you're happy to answer.
we've never not had the answer. We just had, this is what's been sitting. And if something happens, resetting an arrow as a says that there's a fucking shit out that's wrong, let us know. We'll replace it with the spine that you think you should have, if that be the case. But I mean, that's never happened.
No.
Jack and I are experienced enough in that avenue that, the simplest way, to find out is asked. Like, no questions, dumb questions, and that goes in any in life. So, because a lot of people don't understand spine charts. That's
definitely,
they, look at it and go, oh fuck, which column? Like, I look at, I'm dyslexic ass. Like, letters and numbers are fucking what I actually am. I fucking hate it. So, like, looking at a chart of like letters and numbers and shit, I'm like, oh fuck, like I can't man up lines or anything like that. And so for me, it's much easier for me to go, Jack, I want to shoot, 200 grain, broadhead out of a 60-pound bow. What arrow do you think I should go on? And we have an email address for a reason. We're gonna a social media page for a reason, and I believe both of them are really easy to jump in and send a message, and lots of people do, like lots of people reach out and say, what do you think I should be using? And, we always get to the bottom of what they want, what they need, and happy days. That's probably the simplest.
The best way to go. And what's the actual diameter of your shafts? Like, they're not a micro diameter, right?
Nah, they're 5.2. So
yeah,
everyone calls it 5 mils, or 0.204s. So yeah, pretty like small diameter, not micros, but they're not standard, but they're small.
Yeah. I was definitely. And someone asked me the question. I'm like, I'm pretty certain they're the 5s. I knew they weren't micro. With me, and I don't know if this is an incorrect assumption, because obviously people shoot micro diameters, but to me, I would think that a micro would be essentially like a weaker endpoint, like a weaker shaft. And obviously it's what's it called? Like, they're constructed to not be weak, but what is the deal with something like that?
Well, you've got, it's like anything. When you want to gain something, you got to lose something. So my take on micros, for example, they've always got weak knocks, because essentially they've got a tiny little shape on the back because they're so thin. Knocks break. And one senior bloke said to me one day, so I don't know what the point is, because to make a collar system from a micro, it's the exact same size as the ones on the 5.2s and the 5 mils. So it still means that it's still having to push the same diameter through an animal.
Yeah.
It doesn't have as much drag on it. So you got to weigh up your options there. Would you rather shoot something that's, they generally are more expensive too, the micros. 5.2s might be stronger with stronger components, maybe a bit more reliable, maybe not. But horses for courses, really, at the end of the day, if you're shooting a compound bow that's, 70 pound and you're shooting, pigs or whatever you're doing, I don't know how much difference you're going to notice in a micro compared to a stand.
Yeah.
If it narrows blind through, it's blind through regardless, so we could, we could make a micro, but we have no interest in doing it.
No. Yeah.
There are great micros on the market, and they work, but more often than not, you'll hear more solids from a micro. But that's like anything, like I'm sure a lot of people say that about 5.2s and prefer, your 2.44 standards. But yeah, if an arrow's blind through, well, you don't need to change it.
Exactly. You're getting the outcome you need. And then what about, like, let's say 10 years down the track, 5 years down the track, even 3 years down the track, is there, like, have you talked much about that? Like, what does the plans look like in regards to, is there different arrow shafts you want to bring in? Is there different things that you want to build on?
I honestly can't tell you what I'm doing tomorrow. I think the only thing we've got planned is a buffalo hunt maybe, and that's about as far as we've looked into it.
Yeah.
We're just always going to be trying to improve what we've got. If there's any need to change something, that goes back to what Ben was saying, like, we're very easy to get hold of. We're happy to take on any feedback, any criticism. We reply to every message we get sent. So if there's anything we do need to change, we want to hear from people. Like, if there's something that people think we need, or there's something you think you want, we will definitely take it on board. But yeah, as for now, we're pretty solid with
do one thing well. Yeah.
Well, it's been working exceptionally well. Out of shit, I don't even know how many arrows we've sent out now. We could probably count on, one or two hands how many faults we've had or had sent back or complaints. So
yeah,
if it's working, don't try and fix it. So yeah, at this stage, we're just taking every day as it comes and just trying to make sure we have stock, trying to make sure we can keep the quality up there. And yeah, until we need to change something, we're pretty happy with what we got, I think.
Definitely. Yeah. And then, I mean, something that some people think of, I don't know if necessarily it's the thought that goes through everyone's head, but in regards to going after a big game, something like buffalo, someone would think, oh, I need to change up my arrows. I need to go for a heavyweight, or like, there's that common misconception, right? So Jack, I wanted to get your take on this, because I know last year you went up with Randy and pumped things with the same setup that you use for everything, and it's not even a heavy setup as such. What's your thoughts, and what's been your anecdotal proof on it?
I need another 10 beers because this was in a rabbit hole. But so not last year, I went up with Ash Brown and Jack Fripp. We shot 12 bulls, buffalo bulls, in a week. And it was very, very evident, and we did a study on it, that the heavy arrows were worse for penetration on buffalo than light arrows were. We all shot about 70 pound recurves, and the ultimate weight was between 540 and 560 grain arrow. Jack Crick, he shot his first bull with a 705 grain micro arrow. Had a heap of FOC up front, had a longer arrow to get the spine shooting correctly, and he just poked enough hole in that bull to kill it.
Wow.
And that was at 8 yards with a 70 pound bow. We went back the next day, photos, dark, and Jack showed me the arrow he got at night and said, "Listen, I'm going to chip yourself around in you, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "He's shooting at 8 yards with 700 grain arrow, surely should." Next day I went back. We emptied our quiver on this, we set the bull up, emptied our quiver on a bit, and Jack, he couldn't shoot that bull any closer than 23 yards for proper penetration.
Wow.
So the length of his arrow, the FOC, the weight of it, it took so long, and it jacked very well.
We'll get him to go back on it.
What was the quietness for a second? You want to be so disappointed when he comes back.
He will. Yeah. Damn interwebs. We lost him. It's just you and me, Benny. Here he comes. Yeah. He's back on in. He just needs to unmute. But Jack, we lost you where you were saying Jack can shoot. Essentially, he was at 23 yards, I think you said, was his distance that he was shooting before he could get good penetration. And you were saying, like, Jack can shoot, and that's about where you cut off. So you're muted at the moment, but if you can come back into it when you can.
There's that.
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, so Jack he can shoot very well. He can shoot a bow very well. And the results proved he had to be at 23 meters to get proper penetration. Just because that was arrow correction time. So my setup was, I think it was around 550 grain arrow. Had low FOC. I think FOC is a waste of time. I think it's an excuse for poor tuning. And my arrow blew through the bull and kept going out the back. So it was complete pass through and disappeared out in the scrub. That was a 70-pound recurve, and that was at, I think, 12 meters. So Ash did the same with his bow. He buried his to the feathers. Jack had another shot at the 700 grain arrow, and just they weren't going. And they were micros, same broadhead size. So we worked out it was arrow correction time was more important than weight. So I had some what I call disposable arrows at the time. I just took some spares with me, and they ended up being 580 grain, and they suited Jack's bow perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And the next 40 shot, he buried it to the knock. And like they're solid balls in there. Then every other ball we shot, arrows, the last ball I shot, there you can barely see the knock hanging out of him. So I don't change. I wouldn't change a thing. The only thing I might change in my setup is I might, offer a slightly heavier broadhead. Just get me to that 550 because I run about 540 total. But arrow flight, the shot placement is 10 times more important than weight. I believe in that arrow correction time. So if you're shooting, like Brad Smith told me once, he said, if you can shoot an arrow through a good solid Western bore, he said that's the toughest animal you can shoot in Australia.
Yeah, I can 100% agree with that. Yeah. The fighting pads are ridiculous.
Oh, buffalo, if you can get between the ribs of a big buffalo, you're laughing pretty much. If you crack a rib in the center, you're in up shit creek. So yeah, that was definitely an eye-opener. Randy came up last year with me. He was running, a little 6 out long, a little bloody cupid out. Little T-Rex sounds, but he was, he was punching them in there like it was, but because his arrows were short, they were shooting well. They didn't bend. They were like shooting little crowbars at these buffalo, and he was doing the job, perfectly. Lachlan Cook, he came up with his stick bow. I think he was shooting 570, and he was bearing into the knocks as well. So, it's all about. I wouldn't get overly excited about when people rock up and go, "Oh, take 1,000 grain arrows." I have no doubt they work. They've always have worked.
Disappeared again.
I need to get me phone and take a photo with that. Free for thing.
So, yeah, I know.
You said 1,000 grain arrows, like no doubt that they don't work because they always have. But
if you want to shoot, I think for the chance of penno. If you're using a heavy arrow, you want to be shooting, further than 15, 20 meters. If the first ball I shot it 4 meters with a 580 grain arrow. That was a standard arrow. This was years ago. That was my first one. The second one, I remember I shot one with a 670 grain arrow. That was a 250 spine, so it was stiff like it. Anyway, I shot him from about 22 meters.
It's in there, so I'm going to go.
She would have zipped through, but I was at that distance. And if you've ever shot heavy arrows, you see they take so long to correct. And in doing so, you lose so much penetration. You lose so much. So, if you can shoot a good,
give him a go. You're back.
Yeah.
Damn internet. I agree in the sense of I wanted to have one arrow that I can shoot Australia-wide, that I can hunt really worldwide. That's the idea, right? And we've pretty much got all sizes of game here in Australia. So for me, it's like one arrow, one setup. That's ideal. You got a fox, you got a deer, you've got a buffalo. Like, let's go. And big old pig, right? Like that's the concept that I've always wanted to keep with, because I don't love tinkering. I just like to have a setup that I really trust and want to go shoot and happy to hunt with, and know that it's going to give the animal what it needs to have a good death, essentially.
Well, the old everyone heard the Ed Ashby theory, and I'm not going to knock the man, but like a lot of these studies and theories and that were years ago in Africa, it wasn't with the equipment we have nowadays. Like he would have had, I don't even know what arrows he had. You got carbon in the this is like speaking recurves and that. You got carbon in a recurve, you got micro diameter arrows, small diameter. You got all this extra gear that he didn't have to do his testing. So you definitely are better to, as you say, find an arrow that suits them all. Like I'm a massive fan of speed with the stick bow. I think the quicker you can get an arrow to an animal before they can react, the better your chances are with penetration.
Definitely.
So, for example, a buffalo, if he's onto you and you shoot him at 20 meters, when their skin, because their hide's thick as shit, but when it's like sliding across their ribs when they're moving, that's just where it's his guillotine. When the arrow goes in, just shears it off, so it might only get in 6 inches and shear off. Compared to him being, hitting him before he can move, same pigs. But in your case, with compounds I have nowadays and equipment, what Randy was running was, it was ample. It was more than enough.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't need to change that from, I don't think he changed anything from his setup or his big setup. As long as you're confident and you can handle the trajectory, and an evenly weighted arrow, I reckon they're dynamite. So whatever you use now, I wouldn't change for any.
No, yeah, I wouldn't be. I would not at all. And that was all I was getting at. Is like I chased that. I wanted to have the one setup that I knew I could shoot for all animals, and I know that I've got that now in Australia. So yeah, I'm set.
Yeah, so I'd buy a bow. So all sort of shoot the similar setup, like 300 spine, 150 grain to 175 grain, old school single belt, and 4-fletch. I like 4-fletch, being goes between 4 and 3. But I'll buy a bow to shoot that arrow. That arrow set up to me is more important. Like I've had more success in my life shooting, 100+ kilo bores with arrows that are lighter than heavier. The light
That's interesting.
They don't do the job. One of the first handy bores I shot down here, so 420 grain arrow. I had shot it with 600 grain, and so it does come down to tune, does come down to shot placement, how well you can shoot, etc. A light arrow will correct much faster than a heavy arrow.
Yeah, but I think also you're not saying lighter as in a real light arrow. You're saying like a mid-tier arrow, really.
So the stick bows, they talk about 10 grains per pound of draw weight. So if you shoot a 60-pound bow, you should be shooting 600 grains. I don't see the need to shoot 600 grains on anything. A lot of our bows we shoot are probably not even recommended to shoot such light arrows, but we do. Like, that's the arrow we like. So for stick bows, anything under sort of, I don't know, 570, 580 onwards, anything below that's probably deemed light, quite light, especially if you shoot 70 pound.
Yeah.
If you shoot 70 pound, you should, they reckon 700.
That's crazy.
You great.
Yeah.
By the time you shoot that arrow at deer, fucking deer's gone. Yeah. No point. Yeah. Animal's gone before it gets there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you will have, not every situation's perfect either. You know, you got to match the situation for what you're using. I wouldn't try and shoot a buffalo front on with a heavy arrow at 15 yards because he's going to move, you know. But if you've got a light arrow, you might be able to slip it in there, before he can. It's
hopefully you got a tree next to you so you can just hide real quick.
Yeah, I shot a big bull there in the horn at 4 meters last trip. I didn't have a tree. Fucking, I can dance, footy, but I can't dance that well. But that was a situation where everything was going to be fine if it worked out the way I wanted it to. It's just, but yeah, that's just, that's balance for you. But yeah, you won't see me shooting heavy arrow unless, I have to.
Yeah, live tell a tale. Yeah, no. Well, this has been 3 hours, so I feel like we should wrap it. But appreciate you boys coming on. I love the stories. You've always got good insights, both of you guys. It's cool to have you guys on a podcast together, and cool that you obviously have the brand together now as well. I think it speaks volumes, the fact that it's already been very successful. And yeah, I think only bigger and better things are going to keep coming from Jabsticks. But thanks for what you guys do, and I appreciate both of you guys coming on for sure.
Thanks to the support from everyone. It means a lot to both of us. We couldn't do it without the support from everyone. So, it's you guys are keeping the lights on when it comes to arrows.
Good stuff. Thanks, boys.
Thanks.
Thanks, Matty.